Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
What's up, everybody? Episode 99, and I'm back in the house. I've been out all over as far as Iowa to Massachusetts, the World Championships for juniors and masters. And Nick, you guys held it down fantastically. I guess I'm not needed anymore. Ben, Evan,
we did our best.
Yeah, it's crazy. So this episode presented by Cosmic Disc Golf. If you haven't checked them out yet, go over to cosmicdg.com and be sure to do that. Really, this is a brand to follow, so make sure you're checking them out. All right.
Matt, did you say what number episode we're on?
9.
Because it's kind of a big deal.
I think we're done. We're never going to hit 100. This is it, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. This is the last week, folks. We have decided to... Just kidding. We're going to keep on going. We're going to hit episode 100. Matt, you are traveling, though, next week,
yeah,
right?
But I thought quit while we're ahead. Just make it always wanting. People are like, remember how good Nick and Matt was?
Exactly.
And then, like, we just never do another one. We just finish
We're going to restart as the Evan and Ben show. And then you and I are going to be the intern and the stat mando.
Yeah, we just show up every now and then. For those of you listening, you don't know this, but I'm wearing glasses tonight. That's a rarity. So I'm not sure what that means. Probably that I was too busy to throw the contacts in. But yes, I am traveling next week. I'm actually going to Lake Tahoe, and I have never been there. And I asked Simon about it because I know he was there recently. And he said, Matt, be ready. That is probably one of the most beautiful places on earth I have ever been. And I'm thinking Simon's been a lot of places. So I'm excited about that. It's work travel, but I'm planning to get in a few courses while I'm there. I'm there all week. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I'm going camping. So there's 2 weeks again without me around. We're going to try to figure out the 100th episode, possibly pre-record it this week. We'll see what happens. But 100's right around the corner, Nick. It's incredible. Yeah. Go back 98 episodes ago. What were we thinking?
Yeah, I know, right? We have to somehow get Simon on for the 100th episode. I mean, it's just kind of at that point, we just got to beg him to come on.
Is he going to be at D-Glow with you?
I don't know if he's playing D-Glow. I would assume he is.
All right.
But I have no idea.
Welcome. I say welcome back, everybody. Yeah, welcome back. And then I feel like I'm welcomed back in a weird way. So it's been weird being away. I did call in and crash the show that once. I don't know if I ever told you. I built that into the show so I could just like get in whenever I wanted and say, what up, boys?
And it worked out perfectly.
It did.
Someone was saying you need to just, quit the whole in-person part and start being a field reporter for us.
Just run. You guys, I was just running around and it was hot out there and it had just rained prior, so everything's super humid. And I'm like finding just people, and they're like, later people are like, dude, I saw you running around, just like randomly running up the field. I'm like, yeah, I was busy. All right, so a lot's going down, and I will say in person, I have to say in person, I'm so proud of my 2 boys for competing at the World Championships. Hunter made the semifinal cut, which was a big deal for him after a really, really rough start. But Tanner, I heard you guys say it on the show. I could not be more proud. That kid, and everyone's probably wondering why they're not in studio right now. They're actually out of the house. We will figure out a time. But Tanner, like, just incredible. I don't have any words to say except that after he shot 7 better than everybody in 1 round, I was like, this kid is doing something special. And then he just went on to win by 11. Just the moment of him raising a trophy, the whole thing, world champion. The executive director of the PDGA comes up to him after and he's just like, hey, Tanner. He's like, you are a world champion. And he's looking him in the face and he goes, you will always be a world champion. And I'm just like, that was like a moment for me. I mean, and him too, but like, wow, very cool accomplishment, Tanner. Something I probably will never have. I'm like, what does it feel like? What does it feel like, buddy? So.
And he got picked up on a new sponsorship.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And this was before he won. Mm-hmm. So like, that was cool. They saw what he was doing out in the course. They went and followed him. It's weird when you have scouts like following at such a young age, but in all seriousness, they were following us for our first round of the World Championships. And I knew who they were because Hunter's sponsored by them. And they're like, you could just totally tell they're just watching and observing and seeing who's playing well. And then by halfway through the halfway through the week, hey, we want to invite him on. So that was really cool. Tanner finally, like, he's always been in his brother's shadow, like for disc golf. And he's like, I'm just going to do it quietly in my own way. And it's very cool. So I'm really proud of him. Congratulations to him. So very
cool.
Well, Nick, you're going out to D-Glow. You're actually leaving right after this episode, right?
Yeah, I'm going to finish up. I've got laundry rolling through right now. I'm going to finish up just some cleaning around the apartment, clean up my car, and then I'm hoping the kind of goal is 11 or 12 o'clock is when I'm probably going to peace out.
So you're
if
saying we
get
could talk for 3.5 hours?
No, because part of that is while laundry is finishing, hopefully take a quick power nap, maybe, chill out for a little bit. But the hopeful goal is 10 to 12 o'clock is kind of what I'm looking to do. It's about a 9.5 hour drive through West Virginia, Ohio, up to Michigan. And then more than likely, depending on when I leave, I might take a power nap somewhere. But more than likely, I'm just going to drive straight out to the course and try to get a morning round in.
What are those hours like for you? Like 12 hours or is it more?
For driving?
Yeah.
9 hours, 9.5.
Okay. Yeah, you could do that.
It's actually not as bad as I thought. I was expecting 12 to 14 for some reason, and then looked at it today, and it was only 9.5 with no tolls, which is also kind of nice.
Wow. So D-Glow's coming up for you. That's cool. You're driving. What are you going to listen to? The Nick and Matt Show episode 99?
99 maybe. No, since I
on the road 3 hours later. Nick and Matt Show, baby.
Since I do it live, no, I'll have on. I've actually been. So I'm not really much of a podcast person, but I've been trying to listen to a little bit more like sports pod. Like when it comes to listening,
it's just super funny.
If I'm a bad host, maybe, but for listening wise, I've never like gotten really into them. But I've been trying to kind of like dissect into the world of sports when it comes to like the mental side of things, and then just hearing how other people do their lives. In different sports all over the place. And like a lot of them are like triathletes, marathon runners, stuff like that. Those are the most of the podcasts that I'm finding. And then I love the NBA, so I get to listen to a couple of the NBA shows. But no, after that, it'll just be some sweet music. I usually put on to start out like a country playlist.
Nice.
And then I'll go to a heavy metal playlist.
There's the windows down.
Yeah, exactly. There's a band I really like called Opeth, and a ton of their songs are 8 or more minutes long. And so I'll put on the live recording from the Albert Hall, and I'll just put my phone down, and it's like 3.5 hours of my drive just gone listening to really good music. So
that's everyone has their own ways of handling the drive. I'm going to talk to Evan in just a second. I'm recollecting on I think it was the last podcast episode I did here, which by the way was like 3 weeks ago for me. And for me, doing 99 episodes, I don't think I've gone 3 weeks, maybe one time, and it's really weird that I haven't talked disc golf. Like I've talked disc golf but not recorded. But Nick, one of the funniest moments I'm recollecting right now is Hannah walking into your room there and grabbing the rug, and it was just pure comedy gold. People love it.
And then she left the rug in my kitchen.
Yes,
so it was like I had to clean back up the rug that was
Is it back?
So nicely placed right in the corner. I don't know. I think it's downstairs in the garage now. No, I didn't put it back there.
The mirror's still
there. Yeah, the mirror's still there. Someone asked me last week when I'm going to hang it up. The bottom of it is chipped up, so it's probably just going to go down into the training facility soon.
He has a training facility. Is that the old Paul?
The garage. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right. We did enough chatting. Let's bring Evan in. We're going to talk to Evan and say, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
I don't know if we've left you in the cold that long before.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 minutes me just sitting here. Can't go that long without talking.
Hey, people know I'm going to talk a lot, and then I'm gone for 3 weeks, and boom, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Hey, what do you expect?
I apologize. So, Evan, we're going to break down the European Open. And to be clear, right now we're just breaking down more or less how it unfolded in a basic sense. The quick hitting, what it kind of ended up being like, all that kind of stuff. Later in the show, we're going to talk a lot of crazy things about the European Open, including Nico Castro, the fact that we see someone named Chandler Kramer on a lead card, forehands, and then we're going to talk about no forehands. Like and then besides that, all the stats that unfolded that were records for this event, including Paige Pierce, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to come up later, but go ahead and give us the European Open recap as you see fit.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Paige Pierce right there. Let's start with that. I mean, record-breaking major for her. Her 17th FPO major of her career, which is the most of all time in FPO, passing Valerie Jenkins with this event. They were both tied at 16. We were looking at it for the U.S. women's. Unfortunately, didn't go Paige's way. She comes back to European Open and has a comeback to win this event. And with that, Evelina Salonen was leading by 8 strokes after round 2. She had a phenomenal round 2, and we'll dive into that round later. But up 8 strokes with 36 holes to play, you would think that it was hers. That was actually the largest comeback in 36 holes or fewer in a major ever for FPO.
So congratulations to Paige. Is that the way she would have wanted it to unfold? She would say no, but as far as like records go, like she's probably happy with show she can do a big comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the largest comeback of any elite or major. I said just major earlier, within 36 holes or fewer. The previous record was 7. So we're seeing history there. I mean, we all know Evelina Salonen maybe struggling this year in the final round. When she actually won her only previous major, Konapiche in 2018, she was up by 9 strokes, ended up losing 8 of those and 1 by 1, barely over Henna Blomers. So we kind of see something similar here, unfortunately. Just goes a little bit more, and Paige gets the victory. As I said, Evelina Salonen, it's her 3rd major podium of her career, and it's her best Elite Series or major finish since her 2020 Waco win on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And over in MPO, we had quite the battle. And I mean, that's putting it lightly too. Which
I was awkwardly.
It almost feels wrong.
Yeah.
It almost feels wrong talking about this right now and not being able to dive like so far into it.
We're
you know
gonna.
what I mean?
We're gonna.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a battle between Eagle McMahon and Paul Macbeth. I mean, going into this event, I think both of them were not at what we would consider their full strength. Eagle McMahon not playing a lot of events, dealing with the injury, choosing not to throw forehands this event, kind of testing the waters with the lefty backhand. Paul Macbeth kind of having a below average season for himself. I mean, one could say it's his worst season since maybe 2012 or 2011. But of course, you know, Paul's going to show up at a major, and especially this one where he was the 5-time reigning champ, like 5 times in a row. No one had won this event since 2011 in MPO besides him. And we saw nothing but a battle from the start. Right away after round 1, it was already stretching out. After round 2, it was oh man, I forget it was at
the long story short
strokes?
is nobody thought that anybody else was really a part of it. I mean, you would have said if anybody else wins this, they had to shoot out of their minds. Like it was like not. And then by round 3, it was like nope, you don't watch anything else except who's going to get 3rd and who's going to get 1st. Like that's all it came down to. So.
Yeah, and it ended up being a 16-stroke gap between 2nd and 3rd place, which is unbelievable. That's the largest gap ever in like a tour event, I'll say, including European tours.
Not majors?
Including majors.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I felt like it had to be.
Like silver's up, European kind of tours and up, everything higher, anything that's like a tour event that you would see. This is the largest gap ever. That goes back to the early days in like the 90s when I was, you know, like Climo battling with just one other person. I mean, the second highest was 99 Worlds and 2002 Japan Open, which both was a 14-stroke gap. This was monumental. Insane, and it's not like those were the only 2 good players in the field. I mean, we saw Ricky Wysocki finish 12th. That broke a 21 straight top 10 streak in majors for him. We saw Calvin Heimberg finish 8th. Simon Lizotte was also outside the top 10. I think he was 16th or 17th. So we had plenty of good players. It was just a battle between the 2. Eagle McMahon finishes with a 1074.0 event rating. That's the highest ever for a major in history. Again, another monumental achievement. Paul Macbeth was the 6th highest event rating for a loss or a non-winner ever for an elite or major event. And I just absolutely incredible. I think this one goes down for the ages. If you have to tell a new follower in 2025, hey, what was one of the best events to watch? What shows the greatness of disc golf? Like this, like especially with how much the media has grown, how much the fans in Finland crushed it. There's so many fans out there. If there is an event to say, hey, this is the pinnacle of disc golf, it might be this one. Sure, there were, you know, maybe greater performances in the past, but just putting everything together, this might be the one I pick.
And we will talk more about that. That'll be a question we actually ask later. Greatest tournament of all time? I mean, people are talking really high level. We'll talk and break that down. We've all got opinions. Well, that is, I think most people watch that. So to that point, people have a general understanding. They've either watched it or now they have the recap. Epic. There's a lot to talk about. As I mentioned, the disqualification in, has this ever happened to a top 10 player, like at an event? In a major? That's something to dig into at some point. But we're going to talk about a lot of things. But let's get to this point. Hempfield. No, not Hempfield yet. We do like that product, though. We do like that product. DG Max Wax. I'm holding some in my hand, and I've heard you guys in the previous episodes talking about it. A fantastic product, and it's obligatory. You have to smell it. Whoa, I'm knocking everything over on my desk. Yeah. You have to smell it, and then you get the Snap Stick. This is Evan's probably favorite product from them.
You know it.
The grip enhancement, the confidence it gives you in all these weather conditions, like it's humid and like getting almost probably storming outside right now. I reach into it regardless of rain or not, and I have a consistent enhanced grip. What do you think, Nick? You've been using it still?
I have. I'm running dangerously low on it right now, so I'm kind of waiting to re-up it once I get it. Okay. But for how hot the last few weeks I've been here in Virginia, it's been 100 degrees multiple days. Most of the days have been above the 90s, and the humidity is insane right now. So a birdie bag, I've been messing around with a bunch of chalk bags lately.
Yes.
And then the Snap Stick stuff has been a lifesaver.
So at Junior Worlds, I was concerned a little bit of like letting them like grab the DG Max Wax because they haven't been getting used to it. Although I'm starting to work them into it. I said, hey, listen, I have this in my pocket. I said, if you're telling me, because here's a weird thing about juniors. It's hard for them. Like my 8-year-old can communicate that like his grip feels off, but it's hard to know for him, like, is it too dry? Is it wet? Is it like, it's hard to figure out the grip situation for a kid. But I let them know I have it and willing to try it. We also did the dry bags, like you said, so they get dry and all these things. You mix it all together. This great concoction of amazingness. Definitely use the code Nick and Matt over at dgmaxwax.com. Always check out your local pro shops as well. Support them there. If they're not there, ask for them. And if you buy them online, review them on Google or something else. Let them get the exposure they deserve. Fantastic product. I could not be happier with it. Again, Nick and Matt gets you a percentage off over at dgmaxwax.com. Thank you, DG Max Wax. All right. We are really excited. We are planning to bring in the world champion, recently crowned FPO 40, Ohn Scoggins. It's been a little bit coming because 1, I was traveling. 2, she was doing things that were more important than the Nick and Matt show. And but we're really excited to have her lined up now. So let's go ahead and introduce and welcome to the show Ohn Scoggins for the first time ever on the Nick and Matt show. How's it going, Ohn? Oh, hold on.
I am good. Thank you for having me.
We got to figure out real quick. We can hear you. This is great. But Ben, I'm blaming this one on Ben. Let me fix it up here. We're going to bring you in a way that actually works for everybody. Where are we at, Ben? Guest? Interview? All right.
Interview.
Nick and Matt. Something happened here.
Little show dilemma.
Yeah. All right. I know what happened. We're going to fix it right now. We'll just turn that on later. Okay, Ben?
Okay, cool.
You saw it. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. We've done this one other time and I feel horrible. Ohn Scoggins, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. And we'll get you on the second time here. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Congratulations on your big win recently. I guess kind of like first and foremost, how's it feel? World champion, FP40 division. How is it?
Feel great. Feel great to call yourself, 2-time world champion of FPO 40. So
yeah, does that
feel amazing?
Yeah, and the field, I thought the field was really strong. And I know like the job of us as media is sometimes to break that down. And if I thought it was a weak field, I might say so. But when you look through the competition that was there, everyone from Sarah Hokum to Jennifer Allen to the long reigning Hall of Famer, Juliana Korver. I mean, you had a very strong field there. Do you feel like the field was strong? How did you feel going into it? Were you confident?
This year I am not confident because last year we just have only Jennifer and Red, what's that her name? I forget. That rating?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but this year we have like 4 more, like way strong. And then this year I was like, man, I'm going to get it or not, but I was like, hey, you know what? I need to do it. I need to go through it, so, but I prepare myself a lot more than last year. So, but last year I win by a lot. This year, I think just only like what, 14, 15 points.
Only about 14, yeah.
Yeah, last year I have over 3-point win. So that's why the field is harder. And it's no doubt in my mind, like next year it's going to be harder and harder every year from now on.
Yeah. I mean, Holly Finley, she plays really well in the woods usually. And I know your final 9 was in the woods and a lot of your other rounds. I mean, it's the competition you had was really great. And the fact that you took it down. I mean, I don't even like to separate it FP40 for you. I know that's what the event was, but we also want to talk about outside of the World Championships this year. And we have Stat Mando here on the show. I'm sure he could say something more eloquently than me, but this year seems to be a very standout year for you, Ohn. I feel like you are number 7, I believe, in the world rankings. That's both PDGA, and I think UDisc maybe says you're 8th, but like you are right there in the conversation with all the best players in the world, and it's not just like, oh, Ohn might be able to do it. It's often Ohn is a real conversation here. How does that make you feel this year?
You know what? I put myself to a lot of hard work since last year, and then this year I don't have day off much, even the off season. I'm always go out there and practice, and this week is the most relaxed week I never have in January. So this week I only played 2 days of disc golf.
Wow.
That is the most relaxing, like since January I have. So I feel like the hard work I have is being paid off because I pop up here and there on the top lead card. That's all the hard work I put on is paying off, and I know a lot of people like out there was working hard also. But somehow this year I think it's my lucky years.
Your lucky year.
Lucky year.
That's awesome. Spectacular. Yeah. Nick, what do you got?
So kind of just tell me about the differences, you know, competing, let's say at a large event in the FP40 division, kind of compared to in the FPO division. You're talking about how it's kind of a lucky year for you, but at the same time, you're still very competitive in both of the divisions right now. And I would say on a pretty dominant scale in the FP40 division, just kind of where is the mental mindset when you're kind of bouncing back and forth between events in a sense?
So for the FPO field, oh my God, my mind is have to be 100% focused. I cannot do anything mistake, not at all. It's no space for me to make mistake. Mm-hmm. But on the FPO 40 field, I'm kind of more relaxing. I'm kind of more relaxing. I'm kind of not 100% mad on that. But FPO, you know, we have amazing player out there, and I feel like it's harder for me. It's so much mental game, and it's sometimes it can be unhealthy for your brain and your body, because I know a lot of people when it's the big tournament, like we kind of like could not sleep well or not, like lost appetite here and there. So it's a lot of mental game going on the FPO field, and a lot of practice more than just compare with the 40. So 40 I'm kind of like practice here and there, but I'm not like put on 100% like FPO field. So but and also FPO field is so relaxing, just so relaxing. It's more fun, you know. Old lady do, you know, they play and they be having fun in the same time, you know. But like I said, so I put a lot harder work than on the FPO field. So.
Wow. I'm loving the energy you always bring. I'm so glad you joined the show tonight. Just a few fun facts. One is, Evan, did you happen to look up the power rankings for Ohn? I think Stat Mando has that.
Yeah, a little tease there. That's going to be announced soon, but Ohn's actually sitting in 4th.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's just like 15
I think they lie.
That's a lie.
I don't think it does. I think you've been playing incredibly well this year. Also, oh my goodness, I just had it up, but hold on one second.
That is Stat Mando. Ohn, you've probably heard about them. They're supporting the Disc Golf Network with all the stats, but the fact that they have a power ranking system that looks at the field, the strength of field when you're playing, and they see who's playing and when you're playing, they have a system that is ranking you as 4th. That's pretty spectacular.
Oh wow! You know what? I'm so busy. I'm not even look at how number I am on over there. So thank you. It's feel amazing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? Top 4? Top 4, top 5.
And hey,
top 5.
I'll jump in real quick to say too, for Elite Series and Majors this year, your average round rating is 965.9. That's a 14-point bump from last year. Your top fives, you have 6 on the year. And compared to last year, had 3, which was your best for your career before then. So doubling it, absolutely incredible. And even like just podium finishes, 3 this year compared to 1 last year.
Okay, so you just gave her that and she dropped out, but she's coming back. Can you still hear us, Ohn? No, she can't hear us, but she's trying to get back on her camera there. I can see she's having assistance. But I think, look at her genuine reaction. You say 4. She's like, I don't think so.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So,
but hey, I like, obviously she's just being kind because she, enjoys all of her competitors. She's I would say it's more of a selfless
Can
act.
you hear us, Ohn? Okay. I can hear her.
Mm-hmm.
And she said hello, and I have a feeling we can hear her, but she's not pulling up yet, is she? Okay. While we wait to see what's happening there, Ben, you can either type some messages to her, whatever. She's logging out again. I want to give this. I thought this was interesting, and I actually forget what her PDGA number is. Do you have it right there? What's her PDGA
yes.
number? It's 48 something.
48976.
All right, you can hear us, Ohn?
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you for coming back. We were scared. We said something mean.
Oh.
Okay.
I was about to say, ooh, this is so much fun going on,
This is good. So we were just giving some filler space, because while you were trying to come back, and your PDGA number is the closest to my number that we've had for any guest. I am only 574 numbers away from you, and I did it probably right around the same time as you. I'm 48402, and I think you're 489 something, right? So yeah.
76, yeah.
Yeah, so we're really close there, but you are outperforming me by leaps and bounds, so congratulations to you. Okay.
You know what? I feel so bad for you guys because the man field is so much harder than I feel you guys all like, God, I feel so bad for you guys.
That's okay. That's okay.
I don't think it's the field that's holding Matt back, but
I was waiting for someone to say that. That's funny. Ohn, you are being too kind, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, you're well rated higher than me. We don't need to talk about that. But so what is it like? I feel like, am I correct? This year you are touring more than even the last year was like pandemic stuff, and the year before pandemic. But are you touring more than you've ever toured before?
Yeah, this year, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think last year I toured more, but this year is way more because this is my 2-year tour in a row. Seeing I come back from 2009. So from now on, I'm just going to tour like every year from now on. So you guys are gonna see me out there more, and hopefully, just keep practice hard, and hopefully I can be up there. I know it just like every year just getting harder and harder, but at least I try to be top 15.
You've been on the tour so far. You've increased kind of where you're at right now, and like Evan was saying earlier, number 4 in the world for that in the power rankings is pretty incredible. And I think one of the big things, we ask a lot of the pros are just kind of talking about your practice regimen, and we obviously know, I think we've said this before multiple times on the podcast, that we arguably think you must be the number 1 FPO putter in the world. But kind of just talk to us about your game in general. What's comfortable, what's not comfortable, kind of what are you working on?
My game, the weakness is throwing shot. Like I'm not throwing far. So everybody know me about that. But the good thing about my game, I can throw like backhand, sidearm, and both of them as far as they're even. So and my putting is okay. I'm not agree with like the base putting of female. No, not at all. You guys, I play with so many women and they are so good putter. I swear to God. I can call myself probably like top 8 or top 10.
Wow.
That for sure. That's for sure because I play with Wari Manohano, Kristen Tata. Oh my God, they play so good. The bang, all the putt. A lot of women out there, they're putting so good, but maybe they're not aiming much, So I wanna. But top 10, yeah, top 10.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
we can discuss that after you leave, Ohn. I think you might be better than top 10, but that's okay. So I don't know if a lot of people know your start in disc golf. I know that I don't. When did you start disc golfing? You obviously have a great skill with it, but when did you start?
2010. 2010, because the first I came to USA is 2009, and then I start to practice 2010. And on that time I was like 27, 28 years old already. Because right now I'm 41. Yeah. So and then I started in 2010, I play, and then I took a year off in 2016. No, it's not a year off. I take off on 2016 and then come back again on 2019. And from 2019 until this year, so I have 2.5 years off of disc golf to do something else in my life. So.
Did you learn about disc golf when you came to the U.S.? Is that when you learned about disc golf, your first time?
My first time is my husband. He went to Laos and he met me. On that time, we was like fiance, and then he have a disc, like pretty old one, and he's like, "Do you see this one before?" I said, "Nope." And he give me, like, he said, "Just throw it." I'm like, "Okay," and then I throw it, and he was, "Wow, you're throwing good." I said, whatever. That's probably the first time I throw this in Laos, and then when I come back to US. And then the whole year I just kind of like, just explore US, and then we are waiting here and there. And then 2010, and then he was like, "Hey, you want to just go exercise, like play disc golf just for fun?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." First I don't like it. I hate it. I'm like, "No, what is it? I don't like it." I throw so many times, and then I tap in. I'm like, "Oh God, 7, 8, like for one hole." But anyway, so when you more, everybody know how that feeling. When you get in, you cannot get out. It's so addictive. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Very cool. So in the years that you took time off, was it just completely not playing disc golf at all, or was it just casually playing disc golf here and there, but you weren't really competing too much?
Not at all. I don't even touch this. Like, I just get tired. I burning out, and I just not in love with disc golf anymore. On that time, I don't know why. I just lost mojo of disc golf. I just and then I just told myself I want to go do something else, and so I end up went to massage. I learned how to do massage for 8 months at the school, and then I have a state license, and then I went to working. I working for the 2.5 years. On that time, I was like, no disc golf for me. I'm so tired. My husband just like, I'm working Monday through Friday, right? And then my husband just like, "Hey babe, you want to go play disc golf?" I'm like, "No, leave me alone. I want to be at home. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything." It's like that for so long until the COVID happened, and then everything is closed down, and then my job was closed down, and then I was like, man. Now what I'm gonna do? Stay at home every day, really? Like, I cannot do anything, cannot go shopping, buy anything. And then he was like, "Hey, how about just come and play disc golf again? Because we cannot do anything anyway, but disc golf, we just outside." I said, "Well, yeah, probably smart idea, And then I just start to throw again. I remember when I have a disc in my hand, I just feel like I learned how to throw again. Because it was like the left to the right, on to the ground, on to the tree. Like, my putting was so bad, my driving was so bad. Like, I remember, I'm like, oh God, this is ridiculous. But it's very good exercise. And then now, COVID is not really 6, 7 months, it's 1 year, 2 years, and then I practice more. I'm like, I think I can compete, after so many practice on the COVID time. And then I signed in for the first tournament is 8 year at Safari, San Francisco Safari. So I play with Jennifer. Is 8 year, and then that's the first tournament of I think it was like 2 years, 2.5 or something. 2019, yeah. And then I won. I'm like, oh, hey, I won,
Yeah.
So that's probably the big time is made me wanna come back and compete.
Is that when Innova found you, or how did that happen? The Innova sponsorship. How did they discover you?
On that time, I don't have sponsor because when I quit for like 2.5 years, so my sponsor was like, I don't have sponsor, and then I was talking with Jennifer here and there. She was like, "What? You don't have sponsor?" No, not anymore. Because I didn't play so much. And then she was like, "Well, don't you like interesting about Innova?" I'm like, I don't know, they're gonna pick me because I'm not that good, But she said, "Well, just try. You never know." And I end up with them email. I sent them like 2-time email, I believe. And then they kind of like the first time they was not respond, and then the second time like, just want a reminder. I would love to get sponsor from you guys. And then finally they sent me. I'm like, yeah, be interesting on you, And then they sponsor me. They put me on team crew, like the beginning, because I just come back. So I good. Yeah, that's probably what happened when I sponsor.
Nice.
Okay. So sometimes I ask questions that people don't like, but I want to ask this question, and it might come off that way. We heard something about the final 9 at Worlds, and I was just curious what happened there, because we saw on the internet people were saying all different things. Can you tell us what happened there, and what do you feel about that?
It's totally just something is like misunderstood. Here's the thing. This is the real thing happened. You guys are gonna hear from my mouth.
Okay.
I was so late because I haven't played disc golf for so long, every week. So after semi-final round, and I was like go have lunch with my husband, and then it was so hot and humid. We were dripping, and then I feel like, oh, this is so hot. I want to go back to my hotel, right? And I kind of like relaxed too long, and then the tea time would just pop up. I'm like, oh my god, now it's tea time, so we're gonna go. And then when I'm going, when I arrive at the parking lot, normally the parking lot we have no problem. Every day when we go play tournament, so we can like find some parking here and there. But that final night, somehow I didn't know that's gonna happen. So when we drive over there, and then they have what do you call that one, baby? Parking attendant, parking.
Yep.
So people working on parking, right? So it was like 3 or 4 of them or something, and I was like, hi, is there any parking lot left here? And they was like, well, it's kind of full, whatever, and so we want you to go park over there. I was like, is there anything like, can my husband just drop me off, because I'm just like 30 minutes late. I'm about to start in 30 minutes. And they was like, we don't think so, whatever. I said, okay, so you go over there, park the other parking lot. And me and Justin was like, okay. And then we drive to the second parking lot is further. And then when we arrive over there, they said, oh, the parking lot is full. I'm like, well, what are we gonna do? The parking lot is full. You guys can go park at cemetery. I said, where can we go? And they said, well, you have to go here, like, we're not the local people. We don't know. I don't know where I go. You cannot even put on your GPS or map, whatever. And then I said, oh my god, I'm kind of late, so I have like 30 minutes. I'm on the final night. They said, oh, you can go back, and then they will let you go through to just drop you off. I said, oh, okay, thank you. And then we go, and then we come back again, and it was like, I'm very late right now. I have 30 minutes left. Can just my husband just like drop me off? And then the manager of the park was like, yeah, you can do, but I'm just not sure. You can find a parking lot. But the lady who like, what do you call, volunteer? I don't know. This is her first time volunteer. She just like look at my face, just like, nope, you cannot go there. You cannot go there. I said, well, but he just need to drop me off. I'm late, I'm on the final night. I just need to, go there and drop. My husband can drop me off. But she was like, nope. And the manager's like, you guys can go, but I'm just not sure. You guys can find a parking lot. And then I was like, okay. When he said like that, I listened to him because he's a manager. And that woman just like just no and no and no, nothing else in her talking. And then I was like, okay, I lose my time right here. I'm gonna go. And then on that time, our window was down. I just like, hey baby, let's go. I was like that, let's go. And then that woman somehow she thought I do the finger to her. And then I was like drive there, and then it was like 5 or 6 spots left for the player for the parking lot. There, because he said, I'm not sure you're gonna find a parking lot, but if you find, but if you don't, you have to come back. Of course, we're gonna come back when it's no parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Because the writing on that one is a player parking. That's why. So when I go there, I practice for like 30 minutes, and then now it's my tee time, and then I throw, and then I putt off, and then the TD and two TD was coming, and I said, hey Ohn, I need to talk to you. I said, okay, because I didn't think about it. And then after I putt out, and he was like, the lady on the parking lot would talk to us was you were extremely rude and flip her off. I'm like, extremely rude? When I just tried to ask to like my husband can drop me off, and then all she said just nope. But I'm not listening to her, but I listened to the manager when he said, yeah, you can drop off, you can find. That's all my brain working on that. I said, I didn't do nothing to her. I didn't flip her up. I didn't show my finger. I'm not even say F. Nothing about it. I said, why you guys not listen to me also? They said, well, several witnesses. I said, after this tournament, I need to go there. I need to talk. And I didn't flip anybody off. I was trying to be calm down, but people can see I was frustrating. I'm like, that is totally lying. Like, if I do something like that, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I doing it. But when I didn't do anything, for me, that was like, that's a lie. That's a lie to me. And then why don't just ask me also? Why don't just like decide that because she misunderstood? And I was not even, but anyway, so when after the tournament, but they don't give me stroke, by the way. They're just like warning. But I explain I didn't do it. I didn't even say a bad word. I just explain I'm like late, I need to go. And then after everything done, and then I go back and talk to the manager, like, did you see I show the finger? He said, no, I didn't see nothing. She just telling me like she saw you doing that. I'm like, I didn't even do anything. Can I talk with that lady? Oh, she's already left. I'm like, okay, great now.
Yeah.
So
that was what happened.
Yeah. So have you ever heard of or had this happen before where something that happened before the round got addressed during the round? Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I didn't heard it. I never heard it. And here's the thing. When my husband filed the parking, and then but TD still asked like, is it you parking there? My husband said, yes, you need to move right now. You need to move right now. I'm like, why? And then why are you writing pay your parking if we can find the parking? And then you still want my husband to move when he on the final night with me, and he want to be right there with me for that moment. And I feel like I would love them to just handle a situation better than this. At least come and ask me like what's going on, not just only hear from one side. This woman is clearly she not happy because I was not listening to her. That's it. She want me to just like when she said no, that's mean no, but I did not listen to her. If I have like hour and a half, I hope I can figure out how to go and parking on the cemetery, but I just don't have that much time. And I hope she understand, but she just not understand.
Gotcha.
I can vouch for Ohn too, because I was there. I was there for the World Championship because my sons were competing, and they had the last tee time in the day. I think it was around, was it 3 or 4 o'clock? Was like one of the last.
Yeah,
tee
I was
times.
quite late.
Yeah, and the parking was crazy. I had to get out and be dropped off as well. So like what you're saying is accurate. It was crazy, too packed, too busy, too hot, all of that for sure.
Yeah, I very appreciate all the people helping. You know, I never be rude to anybody, like helping or you call spotter. Every time I see, I'm like, thank you so much. Hey, stay hydrated, stay in the shit. I always care about them. And here's the thing, because one would say no, one would say yes. They're not communicate each other very well. And for me, it's not even a big deal to let the player drop off and then they can drive back. They just don't get it. I don't know, but I hope in the future we don't have this situation, because I never been through like this. I just feel like maybe they should have a better plan for it, you know, something. But I respect the TD and everyone. They probably a lot of job and they probably get frustrating here and there. So I'm moving on. I'm happy lady. You know, like,
no, for
now,
sure.
So
for sure. We just wanted to give you the opportunity to say it on the show because people were talking about it. I think it was great to hear it out of your mouth. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Even I'm kind of frustrated to that lady, but I still appreciate her to like help. I think maybe it's her first time helping, and maybe she just never done before. Maybe she don't understand how the tournament work, or just maybe she just So, but anyway, I still hopefully maybe in the future, even I see her, I'm probably just gonna say hi and give her smiling. But I just want like maybe in the future TD or people can work better for the parking lot,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's crazy.
No, definitely.
Nick, what do you got?
I guess kind of, the TDs came over to you while you were putting, you finished that out. And so they issue what you were saying was a warning. Now, going into the final 9, you had a pretty substantial lead. Did this kind of mentally affect just how you were playing? Was it kind of, I don't want to say easier to cope with because of the lead that you had, but was this kind of something that, was mentally, kind of tough in a sense of like while you're trying to play the final 9?
I just feel like, okay, luckily I have like 14 lead, but in the opposite side, if I just have 1 or 2 stroke lead, that will affect me so much more. But it's upset me the most is I didn't do anything wrong in my mind. That's only thing I upset on that moment. I'm not upset like, oh God, now I'm gonna mess up my game. I just upset like I'm not that kind of person who like aggressive to anyone. It disappoints me because I feel like I didn't get chance to explain myself. I don't want people to look at me wrong because I never be that rude person to anywhere, so it just make me sad because I don't like people to look at me like that, and I'm not that kind of person, and of course it affect me because upset me. Like, wow, like why don't just talk to me early or after or something, but it's affect me probably just like, and after the third I'm just let it go,
Yeah,
I'm let it go. I'm having fun with my girl, and my girl was understand me. When they tell me, they say, what's going on? And I explain to them, they say, you know? Oh, no. They was give me a big hug. They was like, no, it's not you. I'm like, I know.
Well,
so they support me, they give me a hug, and, they love me. So
you won the world championships, and honestly, you did it fair and square, and you did it in an impressive fashion. We're really happy for you. Can you tell us something that you enjoy doing? I know you disc golf and you tour a lot now. That's what your life is. You said this is your first week where you're relaxing. What do you like to do when you're not playing disc golf? Like, is it just watch TV, play an instrument? What do you like to do?
I enjoy to do a garden.
Oh,
I love garden.
Okay, do you like vegetable gardens, flower gardens? Like what kind of gardens? All gardens?
Vegetable,
okay,
fruit, all kind of thing I can eat.
Okay.
So I plan all the thing I like to eat, and I love to enjoy to take care of them, give them water, give them a lot of love. That's my second hobby, loving. Like I love it. And then maybe go hang out with friends, go try a different restaurant, and then just enjoy, maybe, who knows? I love to, go shopping here and there, just like women do. But most of the time from this golf is my beloved second. So.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Well, we really, really appreciate your time on the show. The fact that you came on, and we love the energy you bring. We've never had you on before, but now we have your phone number. We have your Instagram. We'll reach out when there's something that we want to talk about, and hopefully you'll have time. I know you're going to get busy. You're going to be competing strongly, I'm sure, from here on out. So we're rooting for you. And do you have anything you want to close out with or say hi to anybody? That's up to you.
I just want to thank you, all my fans out there, friends, family, who they always the biggest supports me, and of course all my sponsor. And I want to show you guys, this is my tour series.
Ooh, go full screen on that.
Hello,
look at those.
And then is my back stem. Oops.
Wow, beautiful.
Very cool.
Oh, okay. So this is my tour series. Hello Leopard 3, and then I have so many different colors, and then I have, because I'm winning, so they do
yes,
it's putter for me.
What putter is that?
But they already sold out. Thank you, my fans. And then I have my second tour is turn.
Nice.
I really love the Leopard 3. Yeah, I love the Leopard 3. I gotta get some more.
Me, wanna supporting me, so go to Innova Pro Shop and support me and got my tour series. So that's gonna put me out there and see me more out there. And and also thank you guys to give me a chance to explain myself out there, because I know a lot of people just why she got what do you call call whatever.
Yeah.
And so I don't have chance, and I don't like to post anything on Instagram or Facebook, anything like this, so it's not me. When people are interesting, some people just come and ask me, and then I tell them. So thank you for giving that big chance to doing that myself, and thank you for having me, guys. I have a great time with you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Really
Sweet.
excited.
Thank you for coming on, Ohn.
Have a great evening. We'll talk to you another time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. That was awesome. She brings the same energy that I love watching in her press conferences. Do you agree, Ben? Evan?
Ben? Yeah.
I agree.
Or Ben.
Ben agrees.
We can ask
agree.
Ben questions.
She's such a joy to listen to. I mean, just her spirits are always great, and even a situation that she dove into happening at Masters Worlds, a tough situation, and she just handled it. Her how she handled it to us, speaking about it, was very nice. Just kind of talking about all sides, not out of any kind of hatred or anything like that.
Part of me, and no one will believe this, part of me does not like to ask those questions. Actually, all of me doesn't like to, but I feel like there's an opportunity for her, as she just said at the end there. Thanks for that opportunity. But I also felt like there's an opportunity for people who heard all different things to hear her side of it. There are different sides to every story, and I'm not going to say there's anything incorrect there, but the PDGA and the tournament directors and everyone else has their side too. Maybe at some point, we probably won't ever bring this up again, but at some point, maybe more will come out. Okay, let's talk about this great product that I've been using continuously and over, Hempfield Botanicals. This is the box that it comes in. It's really bright because I have a lot of bright studio lights here, but this product is for your general aches and pains, muscle recovery. So you play around at disc golf, especially, when this really comes in handy is the beginning of the season when you haven't played a lot yet. And then you're out there throwing and you're the next day, ow, sore. Use this. It really helps with the recovery. But it also works as I get older and I find the sores happen, the aching and pains more often. And then you have your salve, which is your targeted pain relief. It comes in a smaller little container. I'm going to pull it out right here. The salve that comes in this little container is just awesome. It really helps recover quicker. I've experienced it. I believe it. I do like this general muscle recovery though, because it has this cooling effect. And I love that. Nick, I'm holding in my hand your favorite product, the chapstick.
Yeah. No, it's funny enough. I was just about to say, with the product that you have in your box right now, I actually just put some on kind of my neck and my shoulders really quick. And I love the icy hot feeling. The office that I have right now, the AC doesn't power through it like it does the rest of the apartment.
Yeah.
And so actually we're like, I feel kind of hunched over. I don't have a great chair yet. And so, I'm kind of like, slouching a little bit. But my shoulders and my neck will get a little bit tired throughout the night. And so I'll use a little bit of this, and then hopefully, in the next few minutes, the icy hot feeling comes right away, which is actually really nice.
It's cool.
Like,
no pun
it's cooling.
intended.
Yeah,
It's cool.
yeah, exactly. It's a cooling effect. And then just kind of the pain relief afterwards is great. I know it's something that I'm going to be taking all the products with me out to D-Glow. The course is a hike. After driving 9 hours, it'll be something that is going to be amazing to have.
20% off. I don't know what to say to get you to go try this out, because I'm not actually trying to sell it. I'm just telling you about a product I love. But 20% off is significant. So use the code Nick and Matt at hempfieldbotanicals.com, and you support them, which in turn supports us, which is disc golf and all the awesome things that come with it. You just mentioned the air conditioner not reaching well into your office. Well, you know where we are in the studio. Do you remember that one episode we did with about 10 of the best disc golfers in the world? Remember they were in the studio?
Oh,
Do you remember how hot it got?
Yeah, so I remember wearing a sweatshirt and jeans that night because I'm an idiot, not realizing how insanely hot. Yeah, dude, it was. I remember afterwards we were all like sweating. I could not wait to shed layers.
It felt like the Arctic when you walked out of the room. But long story short. Go ahead.
I'm also one of those people, like, I'd rather be hot than cold. Like, I'd rather be in a room kind of sweating than I would be freezing my butt off. And so
I'm different,
plus but most people are. And that's kind of what I've learned at this point.
And that's why he moved to Virginia.
Dude, at least for the freaking wintertime, yeah. It's a little bit warmer here in the wintertime. Not insanely warmer, but I also, coming up till last year, the year before, I rarely ever wore shorts or short sleeve shirts out in public. I just hated how skinny I was. And then I got to a point where I'm still a skinny person, but I could care less. And so now I wear short sleeves and shorts all the time, which is really nice.
Well, Nick, you're missing out on what's been a record heat wave for Boston. It's like one of 5 ever, and one of the last times in the past decade. It's like people will laugh if you're from a hotter climate than Boston, but I think it was in the 90s. Yes, I know. Everyone's like, it's like Texas being like, it was 40, we're gonna die. We make fun of them the opposite direction, but it's been in the 90s for the past 5 days, and it's going to continue on. So anyways, it's warm here in studio.
My mom sent us a group chat, and she was like, what are you guys all doing to stay cool? And my sister's like, well, I'm actually at a Red Sox game right now. And I was like, that actually sounds miserable being at a Red Sox game. One, because I think it was the game that they got blown out like 25-3. We don't need to get into that too much. Or was it 20? No, it wasn't 28-3, right?
28-5. And did you see that
28-5? That's what it was.
Home run. Oh my goodness, Jaron Duran. Dude, I'm over it.
I will say this. Haven't kept too much on baseball this year, just because the Red Sox have been so hit or miss right now. But our boy Dylan Cease, who we've had on the show before, Evan, I'm actually surprised you haven't talked about this much before.
Yeah, can I have a quick platform?
Yes,
dude, he is absolutely well, you talk about that. I'm gonna go flip laundry really quick, so do your thing.
Oh my goodness,
perfect timing.
Our next guest, by the way, stay tuned. Our next guest are the 2 of the women from New England Women Disc Golf organization here in New England, supporting the growth of women's sports competitively. We're going to bring them up right after Evan tells this story.
All right. I mean, it's not much of a story, as in Dylan Cease is just absolutely shredding it on the mound this season. I follow a few White Sox stat writers just because they just constantly tweet about Dylan Cease and how good of a season he had. But he got snubbed from the All-Star game, and he's going to win Cy Young. Honestly, he could. He's in the running. He's having a fantastic season. He is striking out people at one of the best rates in the American League this season. He's just all of his advanced numbers are looking really good. Should
I text him right now and say good job from the Nick and Matt show?
You can do whatever you want. I'm not much of that kind of person, but
I'm going to take a picture of you across from me and say, Evan says good job.
You can say that if you want. I don't know if the All-Star game's a sour subject, but he's an all-star in my eyes.
But remember when he talked about the course he was going to make once he gets that big contract?
He is getting that big
Looks
contract.
like that big contract's coming, so watch out for the $500,000 tournament. Soon.
He didn't...
Well deserving of it right now.
He didn't make the All-Star game, but GMs aren't that dumb. They're going to know he is special and doing very, very well.
So
I just sent him a message from Evan.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I said, Evan is talking about you on the show. He says you're slaying it this season. Keep it up. And of course, it's when Ben throws up his little picture here with his glasses on. So
Wait, can you put it up?
Yeah, I'll put it up. What I sent him.
Pull it up.
This is what I just sent Dylan sees. So he's gonna be like, "There's Evan, and who's this guy?" Anyways, all right, good times.
Who's
okay,
Ben?
I'll tell you if he responds. But without further ado, let's bring in our next in studio guest tonight. I always say in studio for other things, but this is really in studio. They're sitting across from us on the interview seat here, and we've got Julie, who's the co-founder, Julie Ferdella, who's the co-founder of New England Women's Disc Golf, and then you have Kim, who's the VP of, believe me, this is a good organization. They have a community relations VP. So let's go ahead and introduce them to the show right now. Welcome, Julie and Kim.
Hi.
Oh.
Us.
Yeah, so we're excited to have you. We've had you before, but you came via the internet into our virtual green room. Now you're here in studio. We can talk easier. Can you give us, whichever one of you wants to do this, whoever it fits better, give us a little recap of what you said last time. Like, what are you doing, your initiatives, that kind of a thing, and then we'll follow up and ask how it's going.
I'm going to leave that to Juge since she founded the organization.
Okay.
So some sort of beautiful universe thing happened where there were several women's events happening across Massachusetts, one a month throughout the entire summer. And it just clicked. Kim and a bunch of us spoke, and we decided to make it into a women's series. And we just wanted to give a little bit of a recap of how it has gone so far. We're a little bit over halfway at this point.
Okay, so you said you wanted to do a women's series. What did that look like as a skeleton? Like, what's the model here? Is it like in states or in one state? And like, how's it working? Like in the sense of like, yeah, how is it working?
So we're currently only throughout one state, and our events have been only in Massachusetts.
Okay.
With bigger dreams for the future, of course, but that's where we started, and it's surprisingly going really well.
Okay. Go ahead and tell us about it, Kim.
All right. So we had our first event on Memorial Day at 501, the Sunstein Open. That was TD'd by Rivas, who's very well known in the New England disc golf community. So shout out to him. We had 52 ladies competing that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we asked you about a number last time you were on, and I think you might have said even like you wanted a lot, but you said like 20 something would be good. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but hearing 50 something is excellent.
Yeah. And so a few weeks later, we had the Empress Open out in Western Mass that was TD'd by Casey De La Pena, the disc golf girl on Instagram. And we had 51 women at that event. Tons of raffles, tons of prizes. It was a super fun day. And then most recently, back in on July 10th, we had a 1-round tournament at Borderland Disc Golf Course in Easton, Mass, TD'd by Steph Barnett. And for being a 1-round women's tournament, we had 43 women competing.
Wow.
These averages are so much. If I'm averaging them out, I mean, we're close to 50, upper 40s. And like, that sounds way higher than we ever used to see pre-pandemic. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There's been, I mean, no, you guys have talked about it. The sport of disc golf has exploded since the pandemic, and that includes for women's disc golf as well. And it's just nice to be able to have a platform and have the people and the women who want to compete in these events kind of show up, because, you know, build it and maybe they'll come, and they've been coming. And so like, we would not be as successful as we are without everyone signing up and supporting us and our crazy ideas.
I thought you were going to say we wouldn't be as successful without the pandemic, but I will say without the pandemic though, like just even excluding that, what are you finding? This is for all of our audience around the world who's trying to grow FPO competition and series. Maybe they can pattern after you. What are you finding that's working well? Maybe something that stands out there, and then maybe something you're like, we probably won't do that anymore. Is there anything like that?
Great question. Working well, a couple of good feedback that we've gotten from the tournaments we've done so far is bathrooms. Having bathrooms on site, having bathrooms available, porta potties, whatever it is.
On the course, if possible, like, you know, trying to station one halfway through if you can.
In all seriousness, because we're a bunch of dudes on this show, we try to talk FPO stuff, but like you guys have insights we don't. Same thing when we have like Hannah on and everyone else. Is that something that goes through a female competitor from a female division, is that something that goes through her mind before an event? Like, oh, I don't know. Or is it like just you hope?
It's you hope and you plan out and you talk with folks who have been to the course before. Is there a bathroom there? Is it open? If not, what's the closest Dunkin' Donuts? What's the closest convenience store? And you are mapping it out so you have time to go there during the lunch break.
Is it heavily wooded so I can pop a squat in the woods if an emergency occurs? You know, you're finding out all the ins and outs.
Interesting. And it's just not something that honestly crosses a lot of men competitors' minds. So is that something that gets advertised?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So what's something that maybe you think you're going to kind of ditch, or is there anything like that? Like we're going to totally modify it. Like we don't like that, or we're going to change it a lot. Or is it like right now you're like, no, everything seems great.
Everything seems pretty good right now. After each tournament, we've tried to get feedback in the moment from folks, and it's all been overwhelmingly positive, which is great. And I imagine once it's all said and done, we'll sit down and look at it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb to figure out how we can continue to improve, even though we've had a pretty good inaugural year of it.
Well, you have a lot of experience. I mean, I've known Juji for a long time. And Juji, by the way, is a nickname for Julie. For those who are like, what did he just say? Did he just have a seizure? I've known Julie for a long time, and your experience you were probably one of the only ones. I remember playing with you, and you have to tell the show. Do you remember what you called me for a nickname?
Chatty Cathy.
For the show that just heard that, they're like, wow, it's been happening a long time. So, but Juji was one of the very first like female players that I was ever aware of. And she would show up to leagues of 50 or 60 guys and she'd be like the only girl there. So to see it come to where it is, you've probably learned a lot about what it would take to do it. What is the format of your tournaments? Like, is it 2 rounds, a round and a half, final 9s? What is it?
They've all been, besides the Shield Maidens at Borderland, which was a 1-round tournament, they've all been 2-round events.
Do you think there's a benefit and a value to 1-round events for FPO? Or I'm not FPO, but just the female divisions?
Absolutely. Steph was so great about advertising it as a beginner's tournament, beginner friendly, keeping the layout short and really wanting to engage women who were interested in competing, but like weren't really sure what the tournament would be like. It's a great way to dip the toe in the water to get a feel for if it's something that you'd like to keep doing or not.
Awesome. Nick, you're sitting in the green room down in Virginia. What do you think?
Yeah, right. No, I was just going to say, it's really awesome to see Massachusetts being where I grew up learning how to play disc golf and just seeing this scene really explode. And it's something that in Virginia, we're trying to kind of do that same thing. But on the women's side of things, we just had a tournament this last weekend. It was a 2-day B tier, which that's a whole nother subject, but there was only 1 FPO player, maybe 3 rec women, maybe 2 FA1 or FA2. And so the women's disc golf scene, depending on where you go, isn't heavily populated down here, which I'm actually kind of surprised about with the weather just being a little bit better. So I guess kind of just for the chat and for wherever they are, what are kind of, if you were to give a couple key things of like, this is how you should grow it, how is that? And I think, and I want to kind of finish it up saying this is like, as a male, I don't want to intrude on something. And so it's kind of like, does a male and a woman work on this together? Do 2 females work on it and kind of build a club like that? Is like, what are the best ways that someone in their local club can really outreach to the woman in their scene? Did I stump him?
No, for at least when it comes to the tournament scene, having women signups early, even if it's a couple hours, makes a huge difference. And it can really, if women know that other women are signing up for it and it's a TD that supports women's disc golf in that way, you're going to draw more women with that. And connecting with women who are well established in your local league to figure out, to advertise it, to put the word out there that you're supporting women and wanting to do that makes such a huge difference. And I know our advocacy officer, Lindsay, has been contacting TDs all over New England to advocate for that on our behalf as well. So shout out to her.
That's an interesting question, Nick, and I like the answer, but I want to follow up. Like if I was to run a tournament, like just kind of out of nowhere, I'm like, hey, I'm going to run a tournament for like the female division. Like that's probably not, I don't feel like I'm going to get as much traction as both of you running it together because people are like getting to know, I'll call it your brand and like just this like, we know that and it's established, but like, who's this guy? Unless I had your backing, I don't know if it would go as well.
I mean, Rivas did it on Memorial Day on a holiday, and he got 50 ladies.
Was that his own thing?
Yeah, Mostly.
But you backed it, right?
We did back
Okay.
it. Yeah.
We need you.
I mean, he was already planning on doing a separate Women's Day for that event anyway, and we
That's
just
right.
kind of pulled him along with the other TDs that were already running events to say, "Hey, we want to do this thing.
Man,
are you guys cool with that?" And it just kind of
I just think
exploded from there.
it's so excellent. Like you guys are gaining. Again, I say this to the rest of the world. When I say you guys, I literally just mean that in the friendliest way for New England, and Julie knows and Kim knows it.
Yeah.
But I say that for everyone else because they're like, "What? It's you all, y'all." You know, like okay,
Y'all guys.
yeah, you guys.
I'm a big y'aller. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even from this.
Y'all. So I just think it's tremendous what you're doing. Nick asked a great question there. I just feel like, how do we inspire others? What do you give as like next steps? Because you were here how long ago, and where can they get to?
We were here in February, maybe?
Yeah.
January or February?
Yep.
And to touch upon, if you don't mind, Nick's question,
Yeah.
and I know that in Virginia there's a big women's in Spotsylvania, right? There was a U.S. women's held down there a few years ago.
Yep.
And I feel like Virginia is bigger than all of New England, pretty much. But what we've done in New DG is we have women's representatives from different states, but in Virginia that could be different areas. So different counties, like make a overall Virginia women's disc golf community, and like try and get somebody who wants to spearhead volunteer time, getting the roots into those other communities. I think that's another great way to grow it. In states where it's populous in one area but not in another.
Gotcha.
But what was the other question?
I was just saying, like, what's next steps for everyone else? Because you've done this from the grassroots up, and like, what's next steps for someone who hasn't done anything?
Like Kim said earlier, build it and they will come. Just find a course that's willing to, if people are willing to meet up, or a couple people, and say, hey, we're gonna play at this night at this time. Just keep it consistent. Like, if it's only you who shows up, or if it's you and 3 other friends, in a couple years it's gonna grow, and it's gonna be, you and there's 2 cards of women, 3 cards of women. You have to make tea times.
Wow.
I was gonna say, shout out to Juge and one of our fellow board members, Chantal, started the Women's Wednesdays at Maple
Hill, everyone.
Maple Hill, and that has just exploded. And that, that's it, the consistency. Even if it's just a couple, even if it's just 2 or 3, doesn't mean it's not going well. It's having it there, having it available, so that way when the person who's new to the area, or the woman who wants to ditch her boyfriend or significant other and play with a bunch of other women, like that space is there for them.
Awesome.
We've been averaging around 10 women weekly, and it's not always the same women. We went to Women's Nationals, and when we came back, there was a woman who had been there for 2 Wednesdays that I hadn't even met yet. So all these new women are coming through, and it's just been a really great year, not only for the series, but locally for leagues. There's other Women's Wednesdays all over New England. Another one of our initiatives that my co-founder, Mindy LaFontaine, is reaching out to other pay-to-play courses throughout New England to see if they're interested in taking part in the initiative of letting women play free on Wednesdays.
Interesting. And that's something that's fairly unique, I feel like, to New England. Nick, how many private courses are there in Virginia, like that you are aware of?
Very, very few. I do know of a couple of them. One of them has been shut down for a little while now, just due to the whole pandemic stuff and other things. But here in Virginia, there's rarely any. I could probably count that on my one hand.
But I think it's great. My point is, for those who are listening and are like, what are we talking about? Private what? In New England, especially, even up in Maine, but all around New England is like, Maine's like 99% like pay to play. Massachusetts has a decent amount. I don't know. Can I count 10 or more? Like even within 45 minutes that are private?
I mean, Central Mass is kind of the hub for pay to play.
So long story short, that's a great initiative, getting it free so they don't have to. That's one less barrier for them. Is there anything we're missing that like you feel would be really beneficial, whether it's inspiring or anything else, whatever you want to share, the floor is yours. That's wide open, I know.
I feel like having a really solid team around you. If you are somebody who wants to grow women's disc golf in your area, find like-minded people. And I feel like the positive energy kind of flows between people. You can be really productive when you're all truly passionate about one goal. So once the new DG board came together, like it's gone farther than we ever thought it could, just because we have each other. And I saw the same thing in Wisconsin with the Disc Golf Ladies League. If it wasn't for me seeing what they were doing back in 2013 in Michigan, like that really helped us cultivate what we have now.
Oh, that's a great point. How many other women's organizations are you aware of? I don't expect you know them all, but like, is this happening everywhere?
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's Pacific Northwest Women.
Okay.
They're really active on Instagram. I know there's a lot of different active women's leagues in California. The Midwest is huge.
Dolls.
Yeah, Dolls is huge. Yeah, I mean it is, and there are staple women's events around the country too. Daisy Chains and certain women's global event, like big women's events that have since become women's global events.
Okay, you can say whatever you want after this, but my last question, and maybe it's very I don't know, ignorant of me, but what is a good players pack for a women's division event? Like, is there an item that gets put in those that I've never seen? Like, I don't know. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's all the same.
Oh, for me, it's nail clippers.
Oh,
having nail clippers in my bag, or a chapstick, or wet wipes, or what else is in our ice packs?
I was gonna say, so we have these ice packs that we're selling in case of emergency, and they have hand sanitizer, wipes, tick remover, hair elastic.
There we go.
Like any sort of like little essential that you need on the course.
Yeah.
Men, women, everyone in between,
Sure.
like that for everybody.
I was gonna say it sounds great for everybody,
Gotcha.
but that's really awesome and interesting for those divisions as well. Nick, do you have anything else?
Well, I was going to say, well, I mean, one thing that you might be able to add is just the Double G craft jerky stuff that, in case of emergency, little food.
Yes.
And they do player packs as well. So just kind of a little lucky.
Say, one thing that we've been doing at all of our tournaments we've gotten really great feedback from is halfway through the course having a snack and water station where we have bananas, clementines, like little little mini bars, extra water, and that has been really well received.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say, whatever you're doing at those events is probably just like generically good for all events, so keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
I have.
Oh, Evan.
Yeah. Wow.
Welcome to the show, Evan Kearns. Everybody, Statmando.
So on the pro side, there's kind of been a lot of talk on courses kind of being designed for the MPO first, and then FPO might seem like an afterthought, whether it is or isn't. So bringing it to kind of more of a regional level, maybe especially in New England, does it feel like courses are designed for the men first and ladies are an afterthought? Do you guys feel included when there's course designs, and what kind of course design elements do suit women in general besides having like bathrooms and things like that?
That's a great question.
Yeah, Evan.
We might need like a minute to compile a really
Unpack
thoughtful
that.
answer, but that was.
You can take a minute if you really want a minute.
Yeah, are there
or just talk it
it's gonna be a
out.
little New England centric, but are there like courses where you're like, yeah, that suits women really well? It just is a good course for like our leagues or.
I mean, there are definitely courses that I don't like, tournaments that I don't play, even though they might be 8 minutes from my house, because that course does not suit my game. I won't name any names, but I'm sure that we all, if you're from here, you probably know. Yeah. Or I don't know. I
don't think it's that much different than designing an MPO course. It's having the variety, but also like not everything that's, 400, 500 plus feet that might take, women, local pros or, FA1s, etc., an extra throw or an extra 2 throws to get there. And so just being mindful of the distance, I think, is helpful.
For sure. And I think that's just going to come with experience as you do more events, right? Or people do more events for these divisions. I thought it was interesting. And Paige Pierce is obviously, at this point, I would be crazy, I feel like, to say other than the greatest FPO player of all time. We can debate that later. But she said in her interview post-round at the Beast, just this yesterday or whatever day it was, she's like, we need more courses like this. We don't need little putter courses. And I think from her perspective as playing in the FPO, like she has a different perspective, but but there are going to be this point where women's divisions are going to mature over the years. Cause I don't want to say you're first generation, female players, but you're in some ways you almost are. Yeah. And I think we're seeing it with the MPO right now. And I don't think FPO is far behind on that. Like the MPO right now, you're looking at the field getting so much more mature that the competition level is going so much deeper and they're playing harder courses. I think the FPO is going to keep doing that trend as well. Do you agree?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Cool. All right.
I just have one final thing just to kind of say, and it's not a question or anything like that, but Juji, same thing, was one of the first people on the women's side of disc golf who I'd met. We became friends, I think, early on, and just kind of like seeing each other grow in our disc golf involvement over the last few years. But one of the coolest things was a Monday night league. We were at Pyramids, and she was on my card. I don't remember if we were partnered up or anything like that, but she was on my card. And this twosome was literally just getting on the course as the whole league was about to go out to play. It was a guy and a girl. And I don't remember if she had an ultimate disc or if she was an ultimate player. It was one or the other, but she threw a shot that was very, very good. And instantly Juji was like, how long have you been playing disc golf? And you need to be here Wednesday night. Like right off the rip, not even saying hello. My name is Juji. I run this whole New England women's disc golf thing. She's just like, we need to see you Wednesday night. I don't know if the girl ever came or not, but anyways, that's just kind of how Juji is so like headstrong in it, which is super awesome to see. I love watching New England disc golf kind of explode in the way that it does. And so anyways,
she's an evangelist
the
of
right
women's
person.
disc golf. She really is.
Yeah.
She doesn't say hi. She's like, you should come to league.
Literally, she's just like, you need to be here every Monday night, Tuesday nights at Maple,
It's
Wednesday
awesome.
nights at Buff. Like,
We are very lucky to have both her and Mindy.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
I feel very honored to have looked up to them for so long and now
Mhm.
sitting on a couch on a podcast with her. Like,
yeah,
wild.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do come
it's
true.
just, it's about every other year that it's tough to see Juji. It's when Team Buff is playing Team Crane in A Pool somewhere, and it's normally when we're at Crane because I know they're probably gonna win. So it's the only time that I don't like seeing her competing against us, but on the other 99% of the time is incredible. So awesome for you guys to come on the show tonight and just talk about the whole thing. It's really cool because now, like I said earlier, living in Virginia where the scene isn't in the women's side, especially where I live, the scene is still growing. And so we have a select few women who are pretty consistent with coming out. But I think just trying to learn ways to potentially get more involvement in it and just learning how to kind of make things a little bit more specific for them is really awesome to hear. I want to see this whole community grow as I've seen New England grow in the years. So this has been great.
All right. Any closing thoughts from New England women's disc golf? Nick, I didn't tell you this. I think they're gonna stick around and maybe share their thoughts on some of our topics coming up too. So, okay. Any closing thoughts on New England women's disc golf?
Yeah. So, thank you so much for all the kind words, Nick, and for having us here and letting us share, everything that's going on. The Women's Global event, if you haven't signed up for one near you, find your closest Women's Global event on pdga.com. It is a worldwide event. It happens on Saturday, August 6th and Sunday, August 7th. And it is a weekend where it's just all about the ladies, all about the camaraderie, all about the fun, and just learning about what it is to be out there together at an all-women's event. At our event at Maple Hill, Revenge on Reds, we have 95 ladies registered with 8 on the wait list.
Wow.
We're going to try our best to get everybody in. We have some tricks up our sleeves, I think, to make this work. It's going to be an awesome day, and just find one near you. Find one and play.
Wow. Awesome. Totally cool. Well, thank you very much for sharing that all with us. As I mentioned, I didn't mention this, but you can check them out at Instagram at NEWDG_. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you would like to email them, it's NE as in New England or Northeast or whatever you want to think of that. New England Women's Disc Golf. So NEWomensDG@gmail.com if you'd like to email them for more information.
And so one last thing, we are accepting sponsors for both our finale event on Labor Day and for Women's Global to increase pro payouts, for raffle prizes, for whole sponsors. So feel free to outreach to us, slide into our DM, send us an email, and we can give you all the info on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
Yeah. Interested in that. Maybe the Nick and Matt show. What do you think, Nick?
Sounds good to me.
We just gotta figure out. We gotta figure out what your sponsor deck looks like. We'll take the gold. Wait, no, how much?
The platinum.
We'll talk after. Awesome. Really
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Sweet.
Okay, so they're gonna stick
ladies.
around, and to be clear, the interview portion is done. We're gonna let them step up and be the independent women they are. If they would like to cut us off, or we can offer their insight or ask for their insight as well. But we're gonna break right into what a lot of people are in the chat asking about. So we're not gonna put it off any longer. Let me give you just generally, if you haven't heard, Nico Castro was disqualified following the second round of the European Open, a PDGA major. It's fantastic event. He was in 7th place in the second round on hole 18. He threw out of bounds, and the Disc Golf Network, being the only media, I believe, showing anything related to this event, went and cut backwards, if you will, to this just happened a few minutes ago. And Nico was seen throwing his approach shot on 18 up where they go up to the stands, the scoreboard, and immediately a PDGA, what you would have assumed was a marshal, approached him with a phone in hand, which at the time you weren't sure what was happening, but you heard it was a call for time violation, and the clock was on the phone to demonstrate that, yes, this was timed and not just me assuming. And Nico, if you haven't seen it, where are you? I mean, I guess you listen to the Nick and Matt show, and that's great, but go look this up. Nico proceeds to what appears to be aggressively, or at least in an intimidating way, walk up with chest puffed and towards the marshal, and just pretty much yelling the word "why" repeatedly as the PDGA official was saying, "Hey, we had to stroke you because of a time violation. Why?" And it was coming off awkward to many people who watched it and who are not aggressive in nature as a person. Were feeling awkward by watching. I heard many reports of that. It made me feel awkward. I kind of didn't want to see it. It made me feel bad. And then it was kind of humorous, but in the moment you weren't laughing. Nico approached him chest puffed, and then ultimately was like, "Get away from me." It was like, you approached him. And then so the official's like, okay, puts his hands up, walks away to, kind of diffuse maybe a little bit of the situation, but Nico wasn't satisfied, or at least is the appearance he wasn't satisfied, and wanted to get in the official's face again, walked up to the official and was more or less in an intimidating way again, and what many could describe as aggressive, saying, "You want to stare me down? You want to stare me down? More or less, are you listening to me? Did you hear what I say?" And Nico was just being really aggressive with it, to the point where they cut away. We don't know what happened to actually diffuse that situation. But the internet disc golf world went wild. And by wild, I mean everything from crucify him to it's sports. What do you expect? You had all over the spectrum. So we're going to chat a little bit of just surrounding that event. Let me set the stage by saying nobody... Actually, I can't say this, but I would say large percentage, 99.9% of people did not like to see this. Can we all agree on that? In the show here, did anybody enjoy seeing that? At least in our show? Have you seen anybody commenting online that hey, that was fun to watch?
I don't think anyone was saying it was fun. I think it was neutral. Or
well, it depends on how you use fun as a word. I'm not saying it was fun to see. It was a horrible situation in the sense of and I got to commend you, Matt, for how you spoke through that whole thing. I mean, I've been since this moment happened, I wanted to do an emergency press conference with the Nick and Matt show that night or that morning. I was ready for everyone to just take their lunch break to talk about this, because it was literally... I would say, besides for James Conrad's shot last year at Worlds, I don't know if I've ever seen my Twitter blow up more than this situation. Except, I can't think. The only other time that Twitter was really blowing up, it was when the major was announced that it was going to be stroke play and match play. But the whole situation in and of itself, I don't want to say it wasn't fun to watch in the sense of I don't want to see that all the time. It was wild to watch, because as I'm sitting here, I'm doing computer work in the morning. I'm uploading pictures, yada, yada, yada. And all of a sudden I just scroll over, because I've got, 2 different monitors going with it. And I look over and Nico's literally up in this dude's face. And I'm like, what the hell did I just miss? What is going on right now? And I do want to say that someone in the chat said it earlier. I kind of talking about the situation, which we're going to dive into pretty heavily, I would assume. He was called on a time violation earlier in the round, which is what prompted an official to follow their card. I do not know exactly what hole it was. I was just about to say I don't know all the facts, and so
I've asked a few people, and nobody's for sure.
His name is out there.
Okay.
It was I mean, you
A
know
competitor.
Sorry. I think
Who
you're
made
saying the
call?
Marshal.
Yeah, who made the call?
no. Who
So
made
the
the original
original
call
one.
early
Sorry.
in the round?
That's okay.
No.
There was a
That-
first call.
Do not know.
Yeah.
But let me just finish up the story in this sense, so we can just kind of fully open it. Since then, people are calling, as people do, and I have a lot of feelings on this. I've made plenty of mistakes. It's hard to see people go on and be like messaging the sponsor, like drop him. You know what I mean? All this side to
Yeah.
it too. I want to have a pretty well balanced conversation here and say that like for us to do that, yeah, I'm not soft and I get it's sports, but like that's not in me to be like, I want him to lose everything, right? And there's some people who are like, come on, let's go watch Clash and see them, drop him. And like they haven't done it yet, but let's pressure him to do it. But you go all the other side, like, but you saw Gateway is the point, like, hey, for the time being, like he's, what do they call it? Not suspended, but something like that. Like we're suspending.
They suspended the contract
yeah. Until we investigate it. That's his uncle's business. That's got to be pretty crazy to read as Nico's position. Then you have Clash saying like, hey, we don't support what Nico did. He's still our player ultimately. And then like was it a few hours later or the next day morning? It was like, hey, we're dropping
12
Nico.
to 24 hours.
Our professional partnership with him is done. But before that had happened from Clash, Nico went on and apologized in a public forum. Which has anybody in here ever seen Nico apologize on social media? Ever?
I
no,
can't
except to
say
say, I don't know.
In our chat group, Nick was messaging me. He's like, how we were all going crazy over this topic in media. I had like 4 chat threads going, and one of them was like, I was saying like, no, we're not going to see Nico apologize. He's never done it. He's going to double down. I was blown away. So that shows you the gravity of how he feels about the situation. So he apologized, and I'm about to wrap it up. He apologized, and then today we see a post from Nico then we saw the PDGA address it saying he walked off the course, wouldn't talk to an official. So they DQ'd him. The thing happened with Clash. We see Nico apologize. Nico apologizes, and I felt like you could read it into it however you wanted. Is he trying to save his butt? Is he trying to be genuine? All these things, you're looking at it, but if you just take it at face value, he said the right things, okay? You go to today, he makes a post, I'm taking a break from disc golf competition, or the tour. That's how he worded it. And so you can read into that too. Is he trying to cut it off early at the pass? Like the PDGA needs to see that, like, I'm taking this seriously. Maybe they'll lessen anything that's coming down the pipe. The PDGA is out. They have a volunteer disciplinary committee. That's my understanding. And the volunteer committee is going to get together and discuss this. And then they're going to make a recommendation to the board of directors, the president of the board of directors, which is Nate Heinold. And then Nate Heinold is probably going to take what they say, I would assume, unless it's outrageous. And then he's going to say, hey, think about this again. But there's something coming. And my take, and I'll wrap up this whole thing from me. My take is that probation at a minimum is coming. Meaning, if anything else even comes remotely close to this, or at all, like you're done for like a year or 2 years. But I'm feeling like if I hate doing a pick for this, like we're picking what's going to happen, but I actually think there's going to be some form of suspension, and it might be the rest of the season. That is my pick. I wish the best for him. He's doing what he can now. And honestly, if you look at this in whatever perspective you want, anytime I've ever had something significant ripple in my life because of something I chose to do, and I've reacted to it positively, or at least with, good motivation towards I can do something with this, my life has gotten better. I wish nothing but the best for Nico. That being said, let's break this down to not be personal. And let's talk about the on-field. There's a few things I'd like us to talk about. One is, do we think the PDGA handled it correctly in the moment? Okay, so like leading up to it, walking up with a phone saying, hey, I'm calling you. Like, do we think that was handled correctly? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I thought...
I'm just going to say this and then Evan, say whatever you want. I just want to commend the official. Nico posted his name. I don't know what it was. I
He's
forget
the
at the
tour,
moment.
the tour manager for the PDGA Europe, which is
that was the official that called him on it?
His name
was,
I think I have it here. Let me just see. Maybe I deleted it. It's, it's a European name and I'm not good with those.
Yeah. Well, anyways, when you find it, shout it out. If not, it's all good.
There's a J in it. I know they don't say J's. I think it's Mate or Matea Verl, Verl. So anyways, PDGA tour manager.
very few people, I think, in the world who would have handled that situation the way that he did. How he handled it, after I've seen the video probably 100 times now, is so insanely awesome, in the sense of, you have a guy who, you're doing your job, he's doing his job, he broke a rule at his job, and so you go over to enforce the rules that you were supposed to be enforcing. And for this person to kind of come up into your face, ask you what, ask you why, and then to just kind of have an aggressive tone at it. I mean, the way he handled it, so smooth. He literally answered within a millisecond of Nico asking the question what or why.
Yeah.
And just had no form of aggression, was just level-headed. I didn't think the guy was being aggressive at all. I think the way that he walked up to Nico, just saying like, hey, here's the timer on my phone. This is what happened. You know, I have to call you on it. It is the rules. That is why I am on this card right now. I just want to commend the guy just for being so level-headed, because this situation could have turned two different ways. Because I've talked to many of people now, you know, playing a tournament last weekend. We've all been talking about it, hanging out with buddies, and a lot of other people. This situation could have turned into Nico getting up in this guy's face and the guy getting back into Nico's face, and then you can almost look at Nico being the victim in a sense, which in a very, very weird sense, you could look at him being the victim in it. But I think this did show just a flaw that Nico, and I would say, you know, there are other people out in the world like this. I'm sure there are other disc golfers who, you know, potentially would have responded aggressively like this. But the way the guy handled it was perfect. I got to commend him for that. The situation in and of itself was weird. It was wild. Like, it didn't have my adrenaline pumping, but I kind of watched it and was like, oh my God, like, what was I just watching? And then they cut out from the cameras, and it's kind of like, I want to know what happened. Getting on to Matt's point about the PDGA, I think they handled it in the best possible way. That was one of the things that I had tweeted about, was this is going to be a huge moment for the PDGA. And I'm actually kind of surprised the Disc Golf Pro Tour hasn't posted anything as well. Maybe they haven't, I missed it. But the PDGA had made a statement about the whole situation, which kind of let you kind of see it from another sense of, after the whole situation was diffused, after the round was over, Jeff Turcois went over to Nico to try to figure out what happened, get his side of the story from it. And then he just walked away from that, didn't talk to Jeff. At least that's what the PDGA is saying. And, but they had made a statement, which I thought was actually big on their part. That was something that I was looking for them to do. And then, I don't know, just the whole situation in and of itself. Evan, I cut you off though. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that was very well said. I think I agree with everything you're saying. And one other thing I want to add to the oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name already. But the guy from the PDGA who called Nico on it, he was very calm and collected, as you said, but he was also very confident. In situations like that, where someone kind of gets aggressive and in your face, you could easily see someone kind of actually like back away in almost in fear, not necessarily, but just, back away in fear. And he was very calm while being confident still. He knew that he called the right thing. He was kind of letting it play out, and like just almost like being a really good adult figure in this scenario. Yeah. And so again, that's something hard to do, and he did a very good job of that in the pressure situation.
Do you think there are so many avenues to this conversation? Like, for the sport, there's so many. We could talk a whole show on this. That'd be boring. But if I break it this way, I'm going to set something up that people are going to say is outrageous, but some of you may agree. Do you think PDGA Europe has been watching the Pro Tour unfold in the US and going, that's not how we play over here. When someone, you know, is breaking the rules, we call it. And they've been watching this all season. They've been seeing the storylines, right? I mean, Nico's been called a few times by Jeff Spring and others, like, hey, warning, warning. But no one's ever gone as far as saying, okay, we're going to actually give you the penalty. I saw someone out there comment and say, like, how did we let it get this far to where we're calling him at the major? And I wanted to respond, and I try not to get into these battles online. I wanted to respond and say, how did Nico let it get to this point where in a major overseas that he's still doing it? And here's the crazy part. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he was called on a warning earlier in the round. I don't know which hole, but like he knows it was called and he still did it. So it's like, that's totally on Nico. That's not a question to me. And it's never right to act how Nico did. But that being said, this is not an apologist for Nico. Can I put Juji or Kim on the spot with this? Because they're just sitting there quietly. How do you feel in the moment of competition? Okay. In the moment of competition, have you ever had someone call you on anything? Or have you never been called?
I don't think I've been called on anything formally. It's more like early competition. If like my foot or like I followed through on a putt, they're just like off to the side, like, hey, be mindful of that. And it's like, okay, cool, thanks. But not never necessarily anything that's like, hey, here's a warning.
Okay. So Julie's agreeing. So everybody though, whether you have or you haven't, answer this, because I know me. I am so competitive inside that on hole 18, after I threw out of bounds, which is what he did, and then I got stroked, I don't have a right to be mad at anybody but me. I get that. But I am going to be very, I'll use the word angry, I don't know how to say it, internally, and I'm going to be like, I just want to get in this guy's face and tell him off. Like, I understand where the reaction came from Nico. I am not justifying it, but I'm saying, like, given, I don't know how to say it, I can understand and relate to it. I would be very upset inside. And I'd probably walk off the course upset after I finish my round. I'm not going to do what he did. But I'm just saying, like, I can relate to that emotion of like, you're just making my round that much worse. You know what I mean? Do you agree?
Now, yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So just real quick, I just wanted to play, I guess, devil's advocate.
Do it.
So one of the biggest things that I said, I don't support what Nico did. All I'm saying, the punishment side, there in other sports, I know other sports, whatever.
Oh, we're going there.
But I've seen tennis players recently yell at officials, go viral, and everyone in the comments like, yo, this guy's sick. This guy's awesome.
But as we go here, did they get up in the face like that? And when I see, they did.
They obviously went on tennis, the guys perched up, but it's more like yelling. Or even basketball. I know basketball is a little different.
And was it intimidating, or was it saying like you have to get glasses?
Yeah, I mean,
because any sport, watch NBA now, watch baseball.
Yeah,
if anybody's doing it,
should have been
they
suspended.
throw their hand in the air and go, "You're out of here."
He should be fined.
I want to dive into this.
That's my goal.
Do it, Evan. Do it, Evan.
Yeah, because I'm going to forget what I'm going to say in a minute, and I'm trying to.
Well, that my point is he should only be fined.
So I'll get into that in a second, but I want to kind of go back to what Matt was saying, to where like if you're on hole 18, someone calls you on it, and I want to put a kind of difference to where this is where I'm at mentally with it. I used to play basketball. I was very competitive with it, and I used to love going to the YMCA and playing pickup basketball. I used to love going to outdoor parks and playing pickup basketball. Okay, loved it. I played really low D3 college basketball, like really. I played for a Bible Institute, but like we still played basketball against other colleges, a lot of community colleges, stuff like that. It was awesome. Competition was great. When I would have more of an intensity when I'm playing pickup basketball because another player on the other team is calling me on something. Let's say it's a shooting foul. Let's say it's a travel. Let's say it's a double dribble. It could be any of those things. In my head, I'm potentially thinking either I'm beating this guy by, let's say, 1 point, and this call is going to help his team get the ball back. So now I'm really intense, and yeah, maybe I want to get in this guy's face because it's a clutch moment. Like, why would you call something right then and there? That's another player that I'm playing against. When I played basketball for school, whether it was middle school, high school, or college, if a ref called me on something, even if
did you talk smack about his mom?
I'm saying, like, even if I went up to the guy's face and said, that's a horrible call, there's no way that was a traveling, there's no way that was a shooting foul. Guess what didn't happen? The call never got overturned.
Right, good point.
It was a waste of time. It's like NBA players right now. One of the biggest issues with the Celtics in the postseason was them complaining to the refs constantly. And guess how many calls got overturned? It doesn't matter if you get in the guy's face. You're talking about an NBA player who's 6'10". You got a ref who's maybe 6'2", 6'4", maybe. And they look like midgets compared to the NBA players. It doesn't matter. The call's not getting overturned. That official is there, that referee, the umpire, whatever. They're there to call the rules of the game. Now, do they mess up? Absolutely. Do not get me wrong. Like, they mess up all the time. But an official came up to Nico and called it. Now, I'm not commending the situation. I'm not saying if a player called Nico on it, Nico has all the right to go up in that player's face. It's a different story if it's a player. It's not. What he did was wrong. And I'm just going to say that flat out. What Nico did, the way he handled it, was wrong.
Would you be even having this conversation if Paul did that? Like, would we be like, oh, you know what? Like, just give Paul grace. He's never done this before.
Yeah,
no, it wouldn't change for me. I'd be like, dude.
I think he'd get way more grace, in my opinion.
See, okay, wow. I'm going to, and people are going to say this because Paul's my best friend.
People say that about Tom Brady, too. Yeah, I mean.
So I want to kind of answer that. It's such a what if question. And the only reason that I'm going to say I don't like that question is because you're also talking about, let's say Paul has never done this before. No, I can't think of a time where a player has gotten up in an official's face in disc golf, but Nico is known for taking a long time. This is why players struggle with calling other players on foot faults, time violations, anything like that, because a situation like this just happened. Now, what if that is another player? Say it's Chandler Kramer was the reason why we saw this whole thing unfold, because Chandler Kramer was playing an incredible round 2.
Wait, did Evan tweet that? Was that you?
Evan, I'm pretty sure Evan tweeted saying
that.
Someone
tweeted that. This
is literally me, guys.
No, but someone. I thought someone tweeted.
I posted it to our group
Evan,
chat.
go ahead.
Oh.
Yeah. DGN pulled a camera off of a different card to pull it onto Chandler Kramer's card, which had Nico Castro. Chandler Kramer had an incredibly good round, worked his way up to lead card. So I just said, hey, this goofy blonde guy who wears gym shorts, who only throws forehands, is the reason why we saw this. And
that was you? I thought it was someone else.
Yeah.
It
was Evan.
And he responded to you.
Funny enough, Chandler Kramer got on Twitter to reply to that and said, hey, you. I am the goofy blonde guy. He embraces it.
Dude, that's what I was going to mention. That's crazy. I didn't know that was you.
Oh, yeah. Evan, you're
I was going to mention that, but I saw that.
Yeah. Anyways, like, that's the only reason why we see this. I don't think that this gets the same kind of notoriety. The outcome from the PDGA would have still been the same. If he gets suspended, it could still be the same. But the outcry from the fans, the kind of huge moment it was, is only because of Chandler Kramer playing so well. But
and to that point, and live disc golf, this would not. Yep. What happens if we go back 5 years ago, 8 years ago, and you literally just heard, or you saw on a scoreboard that DQ'd Nico, and someone goes, "Oh, he was calling time violation," and he got upset.
Yeah, and this would all blow away. Post-production, exactly. It was like fourth card, right?
It would all blow over in the sense of, it's Nico.
I think it was
question.
Maybe.
Do you guys not think that people would whip out their cell phones as quick as they could to record that if they saw it, though?
So
did anybody
do funny.
that?
That's honestly, a ton of people did that. Like, one of the main videos that I've watched was cell phone coverage of it. It wasn't going back to the DGN. It was cell phone coverage of like the original, because people are also taking videos to see. Also for the chat, I turned my gain down a little bit. You guys said I was loud.
I tried to fix you on this side too.
Okay, if it's still too loud, someone please say it, Jeff. Good. I know you were saying it earlier. Anyways, plus this conversation's awesome. I want to get hyped up, But anyways, people, no matter what, are videoing. It's Nico Castro. For some of these spectators out there, Nico is their favorite player, and so they're videotaping every single move, every single shot. It could be a 5-foot putt on hole 17 or 18. They are still videoing it. And so 4 or 5 years ago, believe me, like, I have a video on my old iPhone of Paul Macbeth throwing hole 1 at Maple Hill. You know what I mean? And that was before there was a ton of cameras around, because I wanted to watch that. I wanted to replay that. I wanted to study form, whatever. But like, more than likely, 4 or 5 years ago, still everyone was taking videos with their cell phones. It doesn't matter if it was on live or not. More than likely, when you're talking about Nico, who is third or fourth card at this point, you're talking the tournament with not even an argument of the biggest gallery ever seen in disc golf. Someone is videoing it. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter. It could have been the dude in 78th place. Someone might be videoing every single shot.
It was groundbreaking in a sense. And I messaged Mo, the producer of the Disc Golf Network, and said, hey, good job putting that out there. I feel like we need to have these moments where we aren't picking and choosing like what makes it out there. It's like good, bad, ugly, whatever. Like, it's a story, get it out there. I thought that was fantastic. I think there's more to be discussed here, but I don't want to, I want you to know we're thinking about this other things. Like, should there be a timer? Remember, was it Gannon on our show who's like, I think it's stupid. I think we should get rid of the timer.
Yeah.
It sounds self-serving for someone like him, but that's a real conversation. It's not in golf. Like, golf doesn't have it. I think you could manage the pace of play rule much better than 30 seconds. But that being said, it is a rule. When does the timer start? Real question. Did Nico know the timer started?
I would assume so. So the way, and we've talked about this, we actually kind of did talk about it at Champions Cup at the player meeting, because there was the rule about, what can you move in your stance? and your run up and stuff like that. And then time violation also came up into the conversation. And it's pretty much like Nico had thrown out of bounds. He established with his card mates where he had thrown out of bounds, and he had put a mini down. At that point, he has established his lie. You know, like he has established with the card, everyone is good. They said this is where you went out. He put down his mini, which establishes the lie. And then from then on, the timer is ticking now. So Nico could walk, 50 feet away, use a Bushnell, look at the scoreboard and say, okay, the massive scoreboard sign is 360 feet away. Now go back to his bag, look for 3 different discs. Okay, now the wind's picking up. His timer has already started.
What is the rule? What is the rule, by the way? Because people in the chat are saying a bunch of funky things about the rule. The rule, as I understand it, was changed this year, right?
I'm kind of pretty sure
it's when you establish your lie.
Which, what does that mean? Is and using a rangefinder establishing a lie?
The playing field is clear, free and clear, meaning nobody's in the way or an animal's not in the way, like up near the basket. So, but then but once it's you address your lie, but like. I guess that's pretty easy to do. Like once you address your lie, it means probably, and I say probably, see, there's the gray area. You've set your mini down, you've approached your lie, you've planted your foot, and you're looking at it. Like it definitely starts. I don't know what the clock said. Did anybody zoom in on that? It didn't look good enough. Like, is that like a minute 25 or was it like 38? Like it's a big deal, but
yeah.
Hey, I don't know.
I want to bring it back real quick to Ben's point about comparing it to other sports.
Yeah,
thank you.
Talk about Nick Kyrgios. That's the tennis player I was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know that.
And
at
the
all.
chat said, "Oh, I love that guy."
Okay, but hold on. Ben said, "I think he should be fined." That's it. What do you think?
Well,
Fine.
yeah. So
a good sum. Sorry,
yeah, lay down the ground rules too. Is like sports are different. Not like you can't compare across sport lines necessarily. Like we look at hockey, where in play you're allowed to fight people as much as you want. Essentially, you get a 5-minute penalty, but that's kind of part of the game. You play the next game. There's no suspension. It's encouraged almost.
Yeah.
And then you get to baseball, where like if you have a brawl, like it's not really a big deal. You're gonna get suspensions for a couple games. But it's like there's nothing looked against a player for it. It just kind of is part of the game, but there still is a small repercussion. And then you get to other sports where it's just like it's flat out not accepted. Like I think in the NBA, I mean, we saw what happened at the Malice at the Palace, but with Ron Artest, that was obviously with this going into the fans. But like other sports, throwing a punch would be like that would be a huge issue. And of course, Nico didn't throw a punch. It was just words and kind of stances and almost an intimidating factor. But you can't compare that across different sports. I mean, we look at baseball where managers get up into the ump's face and are yelling. But it had a different feel anyway. So even if you are comparing it, it didn't feel the same. This one felt a little bit different. Like he was actively like angry at the official. It didn't seem like hey, I didn't like that call. It's like, hey, I really do not like you right now. Like, don't even look at me. Like, you're not a part of this, which he is a part of that just as much of an umpire is. It felt different anyway. So even if you compare it across lines, but you can't compare it to baseball. You can't compare it to tennis. I don't know tennis well. Maybe it is similar, but I still don't think you can compare it to that. We got to compare it to disc golf. And
I was just going to say, I'm okay with disc golf being different. I'm okay with that. I think if we start taking it to fines and everything else, I think that we're going to have to change disc golf's organization of how the player union, all that kind of stuff. I feel like you'd have to get further into it. But this is the rule. I just found it. And tell me if there's any gray areas here. A player has taken excessive time if they are present, first of all, and have not thrown within 30 seconds. That's the base. If you're present and haven't thrown. But when does your timer start? After the previous player has thrown. Okay, so they throw, and after you have had a reasonable amount of time, that reasonable word is crazy, to arrive at and determine the lie. To arrive at and determine the lie. So it's not necessarily like I'm addressing my lie. It's like you've determined that's my lie. It's right there. They threw. I'm aware that's my lie, and I've had reasonable time to determine that, which, again, reasonable can be a gray area. And it says after your next in order of throwing and during which the playing area is clear. That was my other point. It doesn't start if the playing area is not clear.
Yeah.
And then it says if you take the excessive time, you receive a warning violation for the first one. A player who takes excessive time after having been warned for it during the round receives 1 penalty throw. But this is funny. This is why I was laughing. I'm sorry when Evan was talking. A player may request extra time from the group to take a bathroom break. If the player does not return in a reasonable amount of time, the player is considered missing from the hole, But what I'm laughing about here is Nico could just be like, look at his lie. be like, okay, got to go to the bathroom, you know, and run off and like think about his throw and then like run back and throw a shot.
Years ago, Johnny McRae.
I remember that.
Johnny McRae called Paul Macbeth on taking too much time when he had to go use a restroom. So I mean, like, players get called on this. A lot of what I'm reading, and I'm trying to read through the chat, and
Chat's going
kind
off.
of blowing up right now, which is great. There's a lot to talk about, I guess, with what the chat is talking about.
They were all
and
here
I
for
wanna,
New England women's disc golf, and they stuck around.
Yeah, I want to kind of like hit on a couple different points. I'm not a top 10 player in the world. I'm not a top 20, top 30, anything like that. But I have played Pro Tour events, and I've played with a lot of phenomenal Pro Tour players. And a lot of what I'm seeing is like everyone takes a ton of time. To be honest, like I have purposely timed people, not to call them on it, but I'm curious of like I've actually timed myself before of like I set my bag down, I put my phone on, I put a timer, I go up to my lie, I do what I got to do. Like 30 seconds is, and this is for me personally. This doesn't have to be how it is for your game. 30 seconds to Gannon is too short of a time. 30 seconds for me is too long of a time. There's very rarely any opportunity except windy conditions or like if I'm a really crappy spot. But like I know I don't come close to 30 seconds. A lot of players who I've also played with do not come close to 30 seconds. A lot of people hover around the 15 to 23 second mark. That's just kind of what I've seen. And so I don't want to like people in the chat who are saying like every single player takes longer. Like I've played with a lot of them, and a majority of them I can say do not. I haven't played with too many people who do take a really long time on their shots. I've played behind Nico and Philo at GMC last year, and our card actually had to call them or kind of like let them know like, hey, you guys are taking way too much time on some of your shots. Like we, clock someone in at 1 minute and 38 seconds. And this is just like, this is just an ongoing occurrence with Nico. It is something that has been said consistently throughout the last few months, at least, and even like years on end to this point of the time violation aspect of it. And we're kind of seeing it more now as more cameras are getting into disc golf and different players are coming up on the scene. Like we were having this conversation about Gannon Brewer.
Cameras can actually be used to determine the actions of somebody during a round, whether they were intimidating
and the
or
PDGA did say that.
Yeah.
The PDGA did say that in their statement that the video evidence is something that they can use for this situation. Comparing it to other, I didn't really get to talk about this, but comparing it to other sports is kind of a touchy subject. Every single sport is different. You cannot compare disc golf to hockey, where in hockey you can fight a dude and get a 5-minute penalty. Now, if you fight the dude more than once or you fight another person more than once, I'm pretty sure then you get kicked out of the game. If you do two or three fights?
Major penalties.
So kind of going on to the tennis situation. I do remember a video of Kyrgios got called on a footfall on one of his serves. Same thing. He went up to the umpire. I don't know what they call them then. The
Not
official.
sure.
I don't really know what they call
the line judge,
main guy.
the official, or,
main guy.
One or the other.
The owl.
He was kind of like yelling towards him. He didn't get up in his face. He didn't walk up the tower thing, get up into the dude's face. And the guy, same thing, actually handled it really in a calm and collective manner. And just kind of said like, no, you foot faulted, whatever. Like the call isn't going to get overturned. The situation with Nico is not what we see in a lot of other sports. Like he went up to the official and just got straight into his face. In the NBA, if you do that, you get a technical. If you do that twice, you get 2 technicals. And guess what? At that point, you're thrown out of the game.
And not fined or suspended for the next couple games. You're just
I'll say this. If a suspension comes about with this, I don't know if I could determine how long or how short of a suspension it would need. I do not think at all Nico should be fined.
The PDGA,
I'm just going to say that straight up.
All right, that's your answer to Ben. The PDGA, in my opinion, is in a very interesting spot where they need to make a statement. Unfortunately, I think Nico, it's his own fault for getting to where he is. But it's at a place where, have we not been crying out that the PDGA, no one's making calls on any of this stuff? We hear people do time violations. Everyone gets warning. No one's going to do it. Even Jeff Spring, he makes the warning call. He follows the car, but nobody's calling it. Oh, our sport is getting into a bad place with the rules. No one will call it. We need rules officials, right? They go off on this whole tangent. And I'm going to say that I believe, and this isn't just me thinking it up, I'm not going to say names, but I've been talking to people, and the PDGA is feeling pressure on those conversations surrounding rules and not being enforced, that they're actually putting their foot down. I think that's literally what's happening. You're going to start to see it a lot more because there's been an outcry. The rules are a joke. So now they're going to go, well, the rules that we have, guess what? We're going to start enforcing them. And I think, and I know Ohn's not on here anymore, but I think that's even a little bit of what happened with Ohn, is it's going to start, the foot's going to start, or the hammer's going to start coming down on every rule violation. and people are going to be like, oh, these rules are serious. I'm not saying whether I like that or not, but I'm saying that's where we've gotten to, that rules have been kind of become a joke. And I think that's what we're going to start to see more often.
Can I just mention one more thing?
Yes.
So, like I said, I'm not on Nico's side at all. I think what he did was
Nico
not good. In my head, I think the PDGA is going to suspend him for like a year. So that's why, or like 6 months. I feel like they're going to give him a super long suspension that he doesn't deserve. I'm fine with like maybe a 2-week, 2-event suspension, and then he kind of recollects.
He doesn't
himself.
deserve it because it's sports, Ben? Or he doesn't deserve it because like...
No, he doesn't deserve it because I know he got up in the face and all that, but I don't think he didn't throw a punch. He didn't do anything. And I my whole argument is other sports, you get up in the referee's face, it's not that big a deal. Even people promote it.
Let me ask you this though. And we're just about done here. We've done a whole 30 or 40
But I'm not on
minutes
Nico's side, by the way.
But I'm not. But here's what
This is the one time where I could talk about this for like an hour, to be honest.
But here's what I want to say. Like, there's no way. Do we want that to be the look of our sport? It's live. We're getting on ESPN, and that happens on ESPN. What happens to our sport? In all seriousness, I know that when I want to go back to like Drew Gibson or whoever, I'm just throwing out names. Sorry, Drew. Like anybody. I had a guy at work watch it on ESPN one night, sitting there at the bar or whatever, and he's never seen disc golf. He knows I'm into disc golf, and he's watching it. And guess what he says to me the next day? This was last year. He goes, I was watching this one guy, a bunch of whiny babies out there. They throw OB or whatever, and like they kick their mini and like throw their disc in their bag. And I'm like, it looks like we are, like, in a weird way. It doesn't look a competitive thing. It looks like I'm whining.
Hey, I'll say I'm a soccer fan. I get that all the time. I think
Right?
we over-exaggerate all these new sports with whiny babies, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, soccer gets it a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to turn around on your friend. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like, I kind of want to be like, come on, really? Like, you really think so?
But look at it. But look at it from an objective point of view. When Paul misses his line and, it looks more like, not like, oh, man, like I didn't throw that right. It looks like something came out wrong. And I'm not making fun of Paul. It's just like, that's how I feel like the perspective is. And long story short, everyone competes differently. But my point, all I'm saying is Nico doing that, is that what we want our sport to look like?
No.
So does the PDGA need to make a statement and say, we never want that to happen again, ever?
But I feel like they're going to take it too far. That's all I'm saying. I feel like they're probably going to suspend. It feels like they did it to Bradley Williams, 18 months, which was insane.
But one tournament, 2 tournaments. Anyways, I said,
Chad's saying rest of the majors. I think these are all good solutions, but I don't think it should be something like so crazy because of just like I know he went back to the referee to get back in his face, which is even worse. But all I'm saying is, different in any other sport, it's like, I know you guys are saying it's a bad take, but I think it's. I'm just saying it's just like he got up in his face.
This is the first time I've seen the chat ever disagree with Ben.
He said a few words to the guy, and I think the sponsor drops, like, fair game. I'm just talking about the PGA or DGPT. I say $10,000 fine. Give it to him.
No.
He'll learn from that.
That's
Boom.
worse. That's going to sink him worse than some events off. I think.
Yeah,
anyways.
I don't think, like, disc golf's still not at a point right now to where, like, one of the main reasons why, and people keep bringing this up, I'm going to hash this really quick. The Bradley Williams suspension was 18 months, so to say. It ended up not even being anywhere close to 18 months. His suspension was retracted, I'm pretty sure, because of the kind of support that a lot of players had towards it. In the sense of, like, PDGA is wrong for suspending a guy, but not releasing a statement on why he's suspended for such a long time. There's a huge ordeal with it. I'm pretty sure, what was it, 2017 or 2018? And he kicked over a temporary basket on a course after being ticked off that it spit out on him or something like that. He didn't get up in an official's face, and
it didn't make it on live TV,
coverage.
Yeah, all that.
Exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure it was a local B or A tier. I'm not saying that what he did was right at all. I'm not saying that at all. We all keep
saying that, but we're spinning it.
Exactly. Now I'm trying to think what else I was going to say.
So,
I don't think he should get fined just because. Okay, let's say this is the first offense.
Give him an
let's
option.
say this is Nico.
You can take 6 games off.
Nico.
That's a good.
Well, let's say
I like that.
Let's say this is Nico Castro's first ever suspension with the PDGA, which I'm sure, honestly, it probably is the first. His first disqualification from a tournament. He hasn't been suspended. I misspoke right there. But let's say he does get suspended. This is a first time offense. And I don't think it warrants a massive, like $10,000, I think is way too much on it.
I just made that up. I was heated in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I'm just saying, like, I don't think it warrants, it potentially warrants a suspension. I could agree with on that. I don't think 2 years. I think that's way too long. I think if you say the rest of the 2022 season, Nico Castro is not allowed to play a PDGA tournament, I could see that happening.
Yeah, I'm good with 3 to 6 months. I think that's a fair.
That's where I fall.
And I think, and
I
to be honest, that's pretty much
fair. 6.
Yeah, and
Let
that's
Evan
pretty
get in
much
his last word.
Oh yeah, I was gonna wrap it up if you don't have anything else to say. If you're going on.
Nick,
No,
all
right,
Kim has something to say.
I had something I wanted to say. So for those who don't know, my day job is a therapist, and I'm licensed social
Are you
worker.
free after the show?
Yes.
I will bill you later. My whole thing is that, like, as humans, like, we cannot control our emotional response, but we are responsible for our first action after that emotion. And so the fact, in my hope, is that if in this time off, that he's able to kind of like slow down that reaction time and kind of get that under a little bit of control. And it's honestly probably good. I'm hopeful that other people will do some self-reflection and kind of see that in themselves and work on themselves through that, so nothing like this happens.
So you're kind of confirming what I said. I was like, I'm going to get really angry. Like, I would feel that emotion.
Oh yeah, you're allowed to be angry.
But then I'm going to not do what he did. And I'm going to walk off the course upset.
Right.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Are you fine or suspension? Team fine or suspension?
Ooh. I think I'm more team suspension versus team fine.
I guess I'm the only fine guy.
I'm team choice. Give them like you pay this much or you miss this many tournaments.
I like that. I like that.
I think that's a good compromise that I can agree with.
That is interesting.
And I want to say, from the perspective of Kim, now that I know she's a therapist, I got to be careful how I spin these things. But I want to say, like, Nico had the opportunity, and he still does, as I said earlier. He still has an opportunity to do good things with this. But in the moment, I think I got this from Overthrow. They always get a little shout out on here because they're in the chat. Thanks for holding it down. They said something along the lines of, like, dude, Nico, you could have handled this in the moment by getting angry, making your next action, to Kim's point, something that's not aggressive like that. And then go into the post round and be like, hey, DGN, I'd love to do an interview. And then go in there and call out and say everything that you felt like is unjust. I feel like they're only calling me out. I feel like all these things. I'm really upset by this. And guess what? He's going to get a larger following from that. You know what I mean? But that was just the way he didn't handle it that way. So anyways, that's what I said.
I'll wrap it up with this. The last time in a major that an MPO player was in the top 10 and then had a DNF, not a disqualification. It could have been injury related or just could not finish the round for whatever reason. So I'm not comparing it to what just happened here, but was at the 2015 Aussie Open, and it was actually by UC Maresma. He was in the top 10. I think it was 7th place after the second round. Fortunately could not finish, had 2 DNFs. And did not finish the tournament. But
for some reason, I think it was heat exhaustion. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was over 100 degrees out there when they were playing that tournament.
I remember this from Melton out there. It was wild. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
Everyone was asking to get Nico on the show. There's a few things that would have to come together for that to work. Let me just say, first of all, as we wrap up this show, episode 100 is next. I am away for the next 2 weeks, but we're gonna try. I don't know, Nick. Evan is going to be out there at D-Glow with you. We might try to pull something off. We might get Eagle in. We're not sure, but Nico would be great as well. Nico might be open to it. Maybe he won't. I don't know, but we're going to put it out there. Better believe we're going to try. But man, we could go on forever of this topic. There's still so much, but we appreciate all the chat out there. We didn't even scratch the surface with this. Maybe we can come up with more topics for a future week related to these scenarios, not necessarily Nico, but just the sport in general. Any closing thoughts from anybody? Go ahead, Nick.
I have some massive closing thoughts, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Let's get into it again.
Man, you're not leaving from Michigan until.
No. Just wait. Ready? We cannot let this situation take away from the absolutely insane battle between Paul McBeth and Eagle McMahon. That was some of the most fun live disc golf I've ever watched in my life. Huge shout out to Eagle McMahon taking down that tournament. And we didn't even talk about the tournament really at all, in the sense of like all the amazing things that happened when it came to actual tournament play.
Join League
between
Night
the first
tomorrow
and the second
night.
player.
League Night.
Yeah. So check it out on League Night Tuesday night, because it's something that, like, I just want to close it out with this. That might have been one of the most insane tournaments I've ever watched from start to finish.
There's so many
Eagle and
things
Paul
to
played
it.
on the same card every single round. I don't think any of us picked Eagle to win this tournament. I don't think any of us picked him to be in the top 3. So for him to come out and to average, what was it, 1074 or 1076,
Yep,
something like that?
1074 on the dot.
1074 rating to come out of this tournament. The whole no forehanding thing, don't get me wrong, it's super impressive, but you're also talking about one of the best players in the world. Trevor Staub had a tweet. I'm pretty sure it was Trevor from Foundation, and he was saying, look at your local pro, and then look at the best local pro, and then look at a touring pro, and just see the difference in skill right there. And then look at Paul Macbeth and Eagle McMahon. And those two, and I put them higher than Ricky, and I think Ricky is the number 3 person, to where when all 3 of them are playing their best, I don't think there's a single player in the world who is better. Their ceiling is way higher than anyone else in the whole world. Paul was, I think, over 90% circle 1X putting. I think he mixed 1 circle 1 putt in hole 10 the final round, which was a big putt to miss. I think it was circle 1. Eagle, I think, has probably the smoothest putt in the world. And when his putts go in, it's just a good looking putt. Like, he is
casual about it.
Insane. He's an insane putter. Like, Ricky is an incredible putter, but some of the putts that go in for Ricky just
Hot take. Ricky turned them off.
Man.
The Ricky
Ricky was
are out
listening.
There. Look at that. Gone. Nick is gone.
There we go.
Oh, he's back.
Wait, am I back?
Nick's back.
Okay, that's literally the worst frame for me to freeze on. I was looking at that and I was like, man, I am ugly right now. So, anyways, I'll close it out with that, and then shout out to Paige Pierce and Evelina.
Wait,
That
we
was
didn't
crazy.
hear you,
Evelina,
Ricky.
we didn't even get to talk about
We're
this
going to
either.
have to
but
do
like,
a whole
you
other
could-
episode with that
Yeah.
talk, because you're right. But I
you
will
could
say,
literally look at
yeah.
You could look at all the people that Evelina beat on the MPO side with her 1028 rated round 2.
Yeah, Ricky Wasaki, Adam Hammis, Simon Lizotte, Calvin Heimberg.
Jeremy Cole.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And you're also talking about
from the same
one of the
layout.
best.
Just
from
be
the
clear.
same layout,
same tees,
the
same
tee.
baskets.
All right. We are going to do another episode, but in all seriousness, if you need more of this talk this week, League Night on DGN, I do another show over there, and we're going to break down more of how the actual play and the amazingness of what happened. As Nick said, we didn't get to it tonight. We packed in a lot. Ohn Scoggins, as well as New England Women's Disc Golf. We got to the Nico talk. We didn't even do stat or fiction or anything else. We're going to have to push all this stuff. It's
How about a 60-second rundown? I got a bunch of stats about the other people.
Do it as the closeout, 60-second closeout.
All right, here we go. So Kevin Jones gets a second podium of his career in 3rd place. Niklas Antila, his best finish ever at an Elite Series and Major, gets 4th. First Finnish player to finish top 5 in an MPO Major since 2019. Chandler Kramer makes his first lead card ever at an Elite Series or Major. His first lead card ever at a tour stop for silvers included was last weekend at PCS Sula. He does it for the last 2 rounds here, gets a top 5, his best Elite Series Major finish ever. We mentioned Evelina Salonen having the killer round 2. Kat Murch gets her first lead card at a major ever, her first lead at a major ever. She finishes in 5th. And Kona Panis had a tough year. She gets 6th at a major. Incredible.
Wow. Thank you, Statmando. Actually, I mean, thank you, Evan.
Also,
Hey,
Big Germ had an ace.
Big Germ had an ace. Witnessed to himself.
You will not miss Evan on the show much, but this is one of his last times in studio. He's moving out of state, Nick, just like you. It's just something that happens.
Massachusetts is too cold, bro. Actually, he's
No,
moving somewhere
north.
colder. Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm moving just a little bit north.
We'll still hear him and
just
see his
across
face.
the border into New Hampshire.
We just won't have the pleasure of spitting across the table at each other. All right. All of that being said, thank you very much for staying in studio. I know we didn't participate a lot, but you did provide very valuable input. And Nick, go ahead and close it out.
All right, Juji just said it in the chat, but don't forget to donate to your local Women's Globals events going on in the near future. Super awesome initiative that the New England Women's Disc Golf is kind of taking up here. It's super awesome to see not being around there anymore. So shout out to them. Shout out to any of the women in your local area making things better for the other women. Thank you for tuning in tonight on this awesome Monday night. I wish we could talk more. For once, I am kind of like just wanting to keep talking. I could probably talk for another hour at least before I get really tired. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I'll call into the show. Or I'll go live as I'm driving and everyone can just hear me rant for the next 9 hours. But anyways, Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Thank you for our sponsors for making this work out for us. And then thank you to the chat tonight. You guys have been incredible. So we really, really appreciate that. Tell someone you love them this week. We'll catch you in the next one.
That's right. Ben, Kim, Juji, Evan, you guys are awesome. Peace out.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.